Hi, everybody.
Hello, people. Lovely people.
Hello, peoples.
There's Mike Kuipers and there's Tim and there's Hippie Pilot.
That hippie pilot in Houston.
Yeah, that's why I put in Houston. We have a problem.
And Tanya.
You know, you can get an operation to fix that Hippie Pilot. My
Reduce the
my
hip.
dad had new hips. Yeah.
Oh boy, Captain Jeff is great. I guess he hasn't been able
Neil
to
Landmore.
change his.
Hi, Neil.
We'll see if there are any more airline pilot guys.
Another week. It's going to be another week. Hi, Micah.
Is that looks like Neil?
That'll teach you.
Is it?
Neil
Captain
Landmore.
It's
Jeff
Neil.
is
Yeah, it
great?
is Neil.
Yeah, excellent.
Yes.
Well done, Neil.
That'll
Yeah,
teach
it is.
It's called karma, Neil.
you.
Yeah, it is a nice time. We don't
Hi,
mind
Masha.
this at all.
Jeff's got in his getting to know us. He got together with a KLM pilot who flew in from Amsterdam, Masha. So he'll talk about
Yeah, KLM crew. 4 of them. 4 Dutchies.
4 of
Probably not
them.
the right thing to say.
We call them cloggies.
Cloggies?
I guess
Cloggies,
even worse.
yes, because they wear clogs.
You know, I don't think they were wearing their clogs the other night when I met them.
Weren't they?
I was a little disappointed, actually.
What's wrong with them?
I don't know.
Don't you realize they're supposed
Yes.
to wear
No,
clogs? I think it's-
it wasn't Jurgen. It was Jurjan.
It's in the contract that they have to wear clogs.
Oh, do they? Yeah. Well, I remember we had a nice cover art with some child with
We
their
did. That's
clogs
correct.
pushing against the seat in front of them.
Oh, yes.
You remember that?
Indeed.
Yep.
Nick-
Well,
Nick's
the,
going like,
the captain was
huh?
the cabin was clogged up or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm starting on my Christmas beard. I'm just wondering if I'm starting a little early because it's already looking a bit bushy.
No, I want it all the way down to
Jolly
your,
green
waist. And they say, "Oh, Father,
Well, it
Mother,
doesn't-
it's Father
it-
Christmas."
It doesn't go down, it like comes out like a big angry thing.
That's okay. That's what it goes with. That's what it goes with your
don't want a
curmudgeon
big
personality.
angry-
Ah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Why do we want a big angry thing?
I don't know. My
When
beard
when
becomes...
your boys were little, did they think you were Santa?
No.
No.
They probably recognized him.
Yes. They'd
You
worked
think?
it out.
You
In
think?
fact,
Yeah.
Ricky...
No, I think that's my dad.
Ricky was not impressed with
Hi,
the
Donna
Santas we
Rose.
took him to see. No, he did not. It's like clowns. He did not like
Yeah,
clowns.
I know lots of kids
And he
don't
didn't
like
like
Santa.
Santa at all. He threw a complete fit, even though he knew he was going to get a present. He threw a complete fit.
Yeah, a lot of kids. Have
So, do we
crying.
want to check Unity? Maybe.
Oh yes, let's
Sure.
do that.
Let me open it.
Yeah, let me just get this up here.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Hang on.
I feel like Nick and Jeff are both quieter than Liz. Oh, the microphone. That's the problem. The microphone.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm back.
Okay,
Yeah.
back in StreamYard.
Actually, it's good that you sound a bit different, Jeff, because I can tell you apart from when you're normally speaking.
Right.
Yes.
Whereas Nick sounds almost identical.
Well, I think probably most have it set up so that you're using the same, microphone.
mic.
Yeah. Whereas I've got it set up so I can use a different one.
We all need helium balloons so that when we're going to talk on Unity, we go.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they had a sort of comedic sound
my
effect
God.
you could put over your voice.
Everybody, Micah
No,
says the
it wouldn't.
sound level's good. What are we doing wrong?
What?
Oh, God,
No.
Micah, you're going deaf. That's what it is.
Yeah, must be it.
Yeah.
Poor Micah, losing that hearing. Are you down in Tampa yet? No, I guess it would be too
That's
early
next
for
week.
that. Yeah, never mind.
So how are you doing, Jeff?
okay.
Did you want to test to sound levels for anything of any of your music?
Yeah,
or
I suppose we should do that. I can already tell you right now that you're probably going to think that this is too loud. So let me just start off by turning this down a little bit.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
Too loud?
Sounds
Wow,
sounds-
no, perfect
sounds
for
good.
me.
Yeah. A week
Whoa.
from
This
tomorrow,
is
Micah
not going to be a
goes.
good show.
A week from tomorrow, Micah goes to Florida.
Okay. Yeah, it's not going to be a good show at all if everything is sounding good.
No, we've got to have some sort of a mess up.
Yeah, it's not. It just doesn't feel right. So on texting, are we going to do a special thing or just do the regular APG crew?
Well, I can do whatever you want.
I'm just wondering, just so that I have it in the right position, so that
Let's just do the crew. It's just Steph and Rick.
Okay. Yeah, they can mute it if they
Yeah.
don't want us.
They can see what they're missing
we're doing.
out on.
Not that we're going to be doing much on that because we have Unity, but just in case.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to toot my horn.
That
Jeff's
sounds
ha-
like Steamboat Willie to me.
Jeff's having a toot.
How is your Willie?
Oh, wait a minute.
Sounds pretty perky.
You were talking about Willie in your talk there, Nick, when you were stationed at Willie.
Oh, I was indeed. Yes, I worked in Willie.
I'll bet you did.
Steffi, where are you?
Liz has lost control already.
I never claimed to have control. Never.
Oh boy. Okay. What am I going to say? I don't have Radio Roger. Much more fun when somebody else toots it for you. Yeah, that's true.
Tim Van Ram has a dog named Willie.
I bet he does.
Well, I must have told you the story. My next door neighbor had a cat called Roger.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did. Yeah. Go ahead if you want to.
Well, his wife didn't understand the joke, and when he introduced me to him and himself and his cat when they first moved in, he said, "Oh, this is my cat. It's called Roger." I said, "Roger the cat." Oh, very good, because he was a Navy guy apart from anything else. So I think,
I don't get
there
it.
you go. It's so funny. And his wife looked completely blank until this cat was quite old, until the penny dropped, and then she went, "You didn't." She just realised why he named the cat
A
Roger.
good Rogering.
Yes.
I don't know.
Is that an
I
old
guess
person
it's
joke?
a term that I don't
It's
understand.
Yeah.
It's a British.
I don't get
It's a British Navy thing. We'll talk
It's
about
a
it
British.
later.
Well, it's a British thing. To Roger someone would be to, do the dirty.
Oh, see, well, that's something that is not a thing here. So,
Oh, okay. Fine. What, doing the dirty or Rogering someone?
well, depends on the person, I think. For me, both.
Okay. Right. But if you told
let's
someone
see.
over here you're going to go and Roger the cat, that would be.
That would raise some eyebrows. Okay, hey, well, Roger has come to
Roger
the
the
rescue.
cabin boy.
Oh, well done, Roger.
the Radio Roger guy. And so if you
We have a
Roger the
last
radio guy.
minute intro. Yay!
yeah,
well
so it's going to take me just a couple of minutes to fix
fine.
that if you don't mind.
Do what you got to do.
Okay, let me. Okay, well, I gotta go and find
Beer.
that.
Liz, I stuck some audio in Getting to Know You. You saw that, did you? The meetup audio.
I did. Now, Jeff's going to have to handle the audio.
Oh, I'm assuming Jeff spotted it as well.
Yeah, I
sent
saw it.
to-
Yeah,
And I
good.
played
Yeah.
it,
Good
and it
man.
sounded like it was going to play. So,
Good. Excellent.
yeah.
And I put the link to the talk there in that, so Jeff can add it to the show notes.
Oh, thank you. That's brilliant. I was just thinking
I
I
can't
could play it in the background, which would be quite amusing, wouldn't it? Because it'd be me overlaid by me.
No. Would be
No,
nice.
We'd really
fireworks, much better.
Okay. I gotta open a new tab.
Adnams broadside. That's what Neil Lanwarn's drinking, Nick.
Oh, that's a nice. Yeah, I like that. They've got another one, which is ship orientated. Armada, is it Armada? Adnams Armada?
It doesn't have anything to do with Roger.
No, no.
Or Roger Ring.
I don't think so.
Well,
you see,
yeah.
this all goes back to Captain Pugwash, which was a kid's, not even a cartoon, because it was paper figures on a
Comic.
paper background.
Yeah.
And it was Captain Pugwash who was a pirate. And although this is all now proven to be incorrect, he apparently had the master of the ship was called Bates.
Oh, yes, I got it. Yeah.
Okay,
understood. Yeah.
and the cabin boy was
Master
called
Bates.
Roger. Yeah, Roger the cabin boy. And who else was there? There was seaman. There was a seaman called Staines.
That's
And,
Jeff, if Jeff wasn't busy, he would be playing your sound clip there. I prefer semen.
Yeah, indeed. But the seaman was called Staines, and I'm just trying to think of who else it was. There were a couple of other very funny. But it turns out they were all more later editions, not in the original kids thing.
It was basically the double entendre comic.
Indeed, yes. But it was a TV show. I mean, just shows how crude the programs were. And I mean that in a technological aspect.
Yes.
That we watched, because most of our kids shows they were puppets, and they wasn't like Superman puppets where you couldn't Superman Thunderbird puppets where you couldn't see the strings. There was Muffin the Mule, which reminds me, we used to have a lady engineer called Flight Lieutenant Mule. I think she was actually a flying officer Mule, and we were all asking if Muffin the Mule was a sexual offence. She might be listening, actually. I better not say that again.
Sounds like Panto, says
That's horrible.
Tanya.
Indeed. It was.
We had Brother Buzz as a kids show. So, yeah. Up here we
Brother
had-
Buzz, was he a monk? Lots of monk jokes. All right, coffee's over. I'm all hyped up now.
Okay. He's all caffeinated and ready to go.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how long this caffeine lasts, though, but
How's it going, Jeff?
he's really
I
concentrating.
know. He's
It's going.
He's got a furrowed brow.
Mm-hmm.
Roger's offering his apologies in the chat room there.
I'm
Hey,
looking
Nick,
at
what's
Nick over there. He's barely awake. I'm just wondering what time of the morning it is.
I am.
Did you get home? Did you get
I
home
am
late?
run
yet?
down and worn out right now.
Did you get home late
poor you.
yesterday?
I got home at 9:00 last night, and I was
Oh,
gone
man.
for 2.5 weeks. So
Oh, Lord.
yeah, I'm ready to
Yeah. I hope you're
Wow,
staying home for a while now, are you?
recover. Yeah.
Mm.
I was gonna say something. Now I forgot what it was.
You are tired.
Yeah. I should have put. I just got the little AOPA email blast, and there's a big deal about Van's RVs. I should have put that in the news. If I would have been on top of my game, I would have added that to the news articles. But
You can put it in next week. Send it to
we
me.
can add
I'll
it for
put it in next week.
Yep.
Yep.
We could also talk about how freaking F1 has ruined aviation in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
There's a $9,000 landing fee or something like that.
What?
At,
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and the FOB was charging $3,500 for 30 minutes of parking.
Yeah,
Or
it's
something.
just insane. I mean, the
That
whole
was a
thing is
drop-off
insane.
fee.
Like, not just the airport stuff, but like the F1 people were requiring all of like the roadside or street side businesses to pay their fee, whatever the licensing fee or like the fee to be allowed to watch the race is, or they were allegedly going to like put up like tarps and barriers in front of their restaurant so people couldn't
God.
go to the restaurant and see the race.
Holy mackerel.
It's pretty crazy.
That's not good.
That's more a city restriction, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not F1. That's the Vegas people
Oh, okay. Well,
probably part of the contract.
because of
there.
F1.
well, yeah. I mean, either. Yeah.
We understand
everybody's-
what you mean. Yeah,
Everybody's
just-
tried to make their buck.
Oh yeah, indeed.
that's so unusual that anybody in Las Vegas would.
Right?
That's weird. Okay, I think I'm really close to having this ready. I haven't actually listened to what Roger said, but I'm sure it's perfect.
Somebody's crackling. Is that in my ears, or is that
Somebody's
everyone
wedding.
hearing that? Is Jeff
Am I
crackling?
crackling?
Maybe
Crackle,
not.
crackle,
Maybe that's-
crackle. Hello,
Maybe that's
hello.
on my side.
I hear nothing.
Okay.
No, I'm not hearing it.
Okay.
No crackling?
No.
Okay.
You got some water in your ear.
That could do it. Okay. I think I have that set. And let me go back to audio hijack, make sure that's going, hit the record button.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And yeah, and looks
You're-
like
you're recording in
we're
StreamYard, yeah.
recording.
Hmm.
StreamYard should be recording.
It is, yeah. The red light's on.
And I'm going to record here on my interface as well, just as a backup.
So many recordings.
So many. Oh, and one more thing to do here. You know what I can do? I can just press this button here.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The View.
Probably still too loud or not?
No, sounds good to me.
Okay.
You're listening to the
Let's see if I have the
Airline
right
Pilot Guy
one.
Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 592.
Okay.
Sounds good. Well done, Roger. Well done, Jeff.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate that. You saved me because I was thinking, what am I going to say here? Alrighty. I think I have everything ready to go for the intro.
Well, Nixie's just stepped away for a second here. Just
Okay.
hang on.
That's fine.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
All right.
Oh, so excuse me.
No problemo. Beer time, huh?
Right.
Nah, it's Pepsi Max. Bit early for me.
It's never too early.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock.
That's what she said.
I don't, well, that's probably not what she said. Okay. I think we're ready.
All right.
So let's,
Let's hit it.
our wonderful, wonderful Radio Roger, thanks. You're the best. Hit the intro.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 592.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. With your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 3rd of November, 2023.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Picture light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, a commercial flight rolls off the runway while landing in England, and Spirit suspends training for new pilots and flight attendants. We'll tell you why. Also ahead, more news and your feedback. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and lock positions, electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 592 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I am Captain Jeff, pilot at a major legacy airline based on Earth. And joining us from his studio,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. I too am based on Earth. And with November the 5th coming soon, Guy Fawkes Night, please notice that I've got pet-friendly, quiet fireworks in the background.
Duly noted. Thank you. And from his home studio in the Air Capital, low and slow pilot, A&P mechanic, old airplane enthusiast, and engineer in the aerospace and defense industry. It's Nick Macho Camacho.
Hey guys, I'm glad to be back. I just rolled in last night from a long work trip, so I'm trying to get recalibrated here.
Get out of it.
Got to catch up on your sleep.
Hey, Liz, do you have that little thing that electrifies his seat just to kind of get him to wake up? Okay, good. Good. All right. And speaking of that, from her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier, aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and, of course, our producer, it's Liz Piper.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday to you as well.
Have
All
a
right.
good show, you guys.
Cheers.
Okay, if we must. If
See
we
you
must.
later.
Stand by for news.
Alrighty. This first news item in our news segment is sent in from someone named Captain Nick. He's the one that decided that we should cover this. Plane skids off the runway while landing at Leeds Bradford Airport. So, Captain Nick, why don't you take the controls here and tell us about this news article.
Okay. It was TUI Airways, Boeing 737-800, registration Golf Tango Alpha, Whiskey Delta, Tord, performing flight Bravo Yankee 3551 from Corfu to Leeds in England, landed on Leeds runway 14, just approaching... let me see, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so 9 minutes before 2. It veered left off the runway in the final stage of the rollout. So he'd sort of done all the hard work, but then drifted off. It came to a stop on soft ground, about 60 feet left of the runway edge. So a reasonable excursion. And about 1,340 feet short of the runway end. So, not a huge amount of runway left, but then again, it came to a grinding halt in the mud. Anyway, there were no injuries. The aircraft sustained minor, if any, damage. Now, if you're going to go off the runway, that's the way to do it. Minor, if any, damage. The airline said, we are aware of an incident at Leeds Bradford Airport this afternoon in which,
this the way they
upon
talk?
landing, flight Tom 3551 slightly veered off whilst turning into the taxiway. There are no reported injuries, and our ground team are on hand to support passengers as they disembark. I'm not quite sure you quite call it disembarking when you're climbing out into a filthy mess of mud, but there you go. Now, in mitigation for this poor crew who didn't successfully negotiate the runway turnoff, it was pretty windy. So they were landing on 14. The wind was 07018, gusting 31, 32 knots-ish. Not particularly good viz, scatter cloud at 400 feet. So it would not have been the nicest of approaches to make. But other than the fact that they made... If you look at the picture out of the passenger's window, oh, the filth. managed to throw up over this aeroplane is quite remarkable. It's going to need to go through the car wash, I think, before they can do anything else. There are some more bits of information. They just say we're working with the airline relevant operations team and emergency authorities are going to address the situation and remove the passengers. No injuries or fires. Airport was closed, however, which would have been a bit embarrassing for everyone else queuing up to land. Most of the other incoming flights diverted to Birmingham and Manchester around there. The well-known aviation expert Fiona Marr, who was with her son watching the planes land when the incident took place, described it as a hard landing. The wings were going up and down, and it kind of landed sideways and then ended up in the grass, she said. It was a hard landing straight away. There was a really loud alarm coming from the airport, which I've not heard before, and we go up there a lot. Then the engines came straight away. They, the passengers, must have been terrified. So there you go. I think it was a pretty foul day. The runway was probably pretty wet, bit of a strong crosswind, and looks like they just drifted off the side.
Gusting to 32 knots in light rain.
Yeah, we've had a couple of storms through recently. This was Storm Babette. Apparently.
Yeah, 70 degrees off at 32 knots. It's a little...
Pretty much all of it across, yeah. I know, I don't know how easy a 7.3 is to land, in a big crosswind. This isn't a huge crosswind, 35, 40 knots would be a big crosswind. But I've seen videos of it landing very nicely, but I would have thought with a very wet runway, it might have been even a little bit of aquaplaning in there.
Well, if they had been, very talented professional pilots like yourself and myself, and of course Nick Camacho, we wouldn't be even talking about this.
No, that's very true. I know really talented pilots usually stay on the tarmac, but
and just a note to people: the things that we have been involved in the past, we do not talk about on the show.
Yes, all my runway excursions. Yes, indeed. So, there you go.
Numerous.
But I mean, we've had some pretty foul weather in the recent weeks. So I have to say, I for one am very glad that I'm retired, because it's when you get these really nasty storms coming through, everyone's a bit worried about it. Lots of diversions, lots of potential for incidents. So I'm very glad I've hung up my flying boots, quite honestly.
Yeah, we are too, honestly.
Now
Okay.
that C-47 is a bit of a handful in a crosswind, isn't it, Nick?
Oh yeah, definitely. That big vertical stabilizer back there.
Yeah,
Makes it
and
a
those
little bit of a
wings,
challenge.
they don't stop flying until you're barely taxiing, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. You know what I should do? I do have a video for this one. So the whole time that you've been talking, I could have been loading that up. But what was I doing?
It's a testament
just sitting there.
to Captain Nick's entertainment value.
I know. I was just like mesmerized by the way he was covering that. All right. So let me open this up and we'll go on to this next news item. It's some video from NBC News.
Another confrontation of the cockpit being revealed. A Delta co-pilot facing charges of pulling a gun and threatening to shoot the captain during an argument. Here's Tom Costello.
It happened on a Delta Airlines flight last year. Now, a federal grand jury has indicted First Officer Jonathan Dunn with using a dangerous weapon to assault and intimidate the captain, telling the captain he'd be shot multiple times if he diverted the flight due to a passenger's medical event. Dunn was trained and certified to carry a gun as a TSA flight deck officer. NBC News aviation analyst Captain John Cox was also certified.
The people that were really heavily into the I'm going to save the world and I've got a gun, those people didn't make it through.
NBC has been unable to reach Dunn. Delta says he no longer works for the airline. The indictment comes after an off-duty Alaska Airlines pilot riding in a cockpit jump seat last week allegedly tried to shut down the engines on a passenger plane. Joseph Emerson has pleaded not guilty to 83 attempted murder counts. He allegedly claimed he was in a mental health crisis and had consumed psychedelic mushrooms 2 days before the flight.
He had no intention to harm himself or anybody on the airplane when he acted.
The challenge for the FAA and airlines, screening pilots for signs of serious mental illness or aggression.
It's really hard to predict violence, even if somebody is experiencing mental health symptoms.
Both pilots face federal charges of interfering with the flight crew, a felony that carries up to 20 years in prison.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news
Well,
and
thank
top
you.
stories on the NBC News app or follow us on
Okay.
social media.
A nice plug for NBC News. Yeah.
Hasn't that guy got a huge forehead?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, very large because of that massive brain, that frontal cortex.
Indeed.
Is that
Must
what you
be
call
a very
that?
smart chap.
Okay. So getting back to, don't really want to talk about the mushroom dude at this point. We want to talk more about this idiot that decided that he would threaten the captain and the captain's authority and making a decision to do a medical divert. And what's interesting is I just kind of stumbled upon this other news item or a news article that said the Supreme Court, this is from The Hill, Supreme Court won't shield airmen from punishment over vaccine refusal. And the Supreme Court on Monday ruled against an Air Force Reserve officer who asked the justices to shield him from disciplinary action over his religious-based refusal to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Dunn, that's the same guy that threatened the captain, was removed from his command and faces additional punishment over his refusal to comply. Anyway, and the end of this article says that he has already been removed from his former command, including for reasons of poor judgment and abuse of authority, which justified the removal independent of his refusal to be vaccinated. So the reason why he was removed from his position of authority had nothing to do with his refusal to take the vaccine. It's just that that's what landed him in court. And so now we're kind of getting a bigger picture of this guy. Can you imagine that? Somebody, well, of course, Nick, Captain Nick, you can't imagine it because you guys don't have pilots that carry firearms. And it's not a
we
huge
got some
percentage
pretty
of
stupid pilots, but luckily they're not
and if
armed.
they had the
and
opportunity
stupid.
to, I know, but it's just like, really, you're going to, okay, you're a federal flight deck officer, and you're going to threaten the captain because you don't want him to divert. That just shows you right there that the person's mental. I mean, who in their right mind? Pardon me? I'm not sure. The article really doesn't say whether or not the divert was made or not. But that's, you wonder how somebody like that could make it through there, because there's a pretty extensive screening process for pilots entering the flight deck, federal flight deck officer program. In other words,
yeah, that's what I was.
pilots.
I mean, from this side of the pond, of course, we look at this with a slightly different eye, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask Jeff. How thorough is the screening for those flight deck officers that are armed? And I mean, personally, I think was a good idea to include this as an option because the desperate straits that passengers went to try and regain control of their aircraft after 9/11, or on 9/11, just demonstrates that it's really nice to have armed marshals on board, and if you've got a trustworthy pilot who's well trained and capable, then that is a great last ditch defense. But it kind of puts in question how they picked these guys. Was it just that he was in the military? Was that sufficient? I doubt it.
No, I don't think so. I think there's more to
No.
it than that. Yeah, it's pretty extensive background checking and everything else. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, this guy's a little off.
Yeah, indeed. And also, if the military knew about his problems beforehand, that they had already decided that they were going to remove him from his post, that obviously doesn't link back to his employer. Because if his employer had known about it, perhaps they would have questioned his fitness to be on the flight deck. So I'm just wondering, in the same way that I asked questions after the Germanwings first officer committed suicide and killed all his passengers by locking the captain out. We were all asking, how could this guy who was under medical treatment by various doctors for mental health issues, how could his company not have been aware of that, or at least the licensing authority in Germany not being aware of it? And we all asked the question, isn't that stupid? Why are these barriers there? Because in our job, you really do need to have that sort of information available to all authorized persons, and the fact in Germany it wasn't authorized, so it was hidden, and we wondered whether that was the right decision or not. And in the same way, I ask if this is the right decision. Should the military have kept it quiet, or should they have informed Delta?
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, I was just going to say, that was the one thing that I was curious about, is the line of communication there. We had a maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I don't remember when, but we had another gun situation where a citizen, it didn't have to do with airplanes, but a citizen had obtained a gun legally, but after the incident and everyone started looking into it, he basically had like denying characteristics from his time in the Air Force, but there was no like clear communication between the Air Force and the law enforcement agencies associated with him being able to get a gun. So it was a big uproar back then about how, there are these two government agencies should be able to communicate with each other to avoid situations like this. And this kind of seems like another example of that. I don't know how much of it would be hidden for, doesn't seem like necessarily health reasons, but privacy reasons. But, like poor judgment and abuse of authority seem like bullet points 1 and 2 for disqualifying conditions for what he was doing. So if anybody knew about that in the FAA, you think it would have caused red flags to pop up.
This federal bureaucracy issue that we have is, I think they're trying to fix it, just like we had the story a couple of episodes back regarding the VA and the FAA and how they weren't really communicating. And so, we have some feedback regarding that as well later here in our show. But yeah, you're right. There's like, are people not talking to each other here? What's going on? This is kind of crazy. Micah says in our live audience, these kind of communications regarding guns never seem to work. The same was true of the shooter appearing in Maine from last week. There was a mass shooting in Maine. Everyone knew he shouldn't have a gun, but somehow he ended up with one. He made threats within the military. He made threats to the local police, and his family was aware of his mental issue and the fact that he had gun. Yeah, I guess, it's tough. There's so many. How many people now here are in the United States population? 330 or probably
was like
more,
350
like 350
maybe or something.
Yeah, 350 million people. I guess on occasion, somebody's going to kind of squeeze through that crack or fall through that crack. And I don't know, but almost every case, people that know these people go, oh yeah, it was just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you say anything? Yeah, nobody would listen anyway. Yeah. And they're probably right. Yeah. It is sad. Okay. Well, we should probably talk about this one here. My homeland forever.
Oh, it's nearly Christmas.
Right.
That's when we all have to watch this movie.
Absolutely. So, we talked about the 737 excursion. This was also almost an excursion off a runway in Zurich, an Edelweiss Airbus A320-200, registration Hotel Bravo India Hotel Yankee, performing flight 298 from Zurich to Faro, Portugal, was accelerating for takeoff from Zurich's runway 32 when the crew rejected takeoff at high speed, about 140 knots over the ground. The aircraft slowed, vacated the runway, and taxied to a remote stand. We have a little bit of video to present to you, and maybe we can analyze this and figure out what happened. All right, so it was rolling down the runway, rolling down the runway,
throttles open wide. See the mighty Airbus sway from side to side.
Uh-oh.
Boom.
Yikes. Quick left turn and then a reaction to the right to keep it on the runway. Thank goodness it was a very wide runway.
Yes.
And
Pretty
they
big.
managed to straighten up. I think I know what happened here, though. Just listen here to this. See here? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
That was some kind of a Windows chime or something, and I think
the computer rebooted, you think?
Yeah, it was Airbus. That was the Airbus Windows 11 that had a hiccup, I think, and then it made the rudder go full left.
Oh no!
I thought it was that little squirrel. I thought they were just trying to avoid that little squirrel.
Was that a squirrel or a little bird? Yeah, something flew from left to right. But I think that was behind them, actually.
Yeah, looks like it.
But yeah, so looking at there's a squirrel. So look at this. Boom. It's just the rudder it seemed to be aligned just fine. And then right before the big giant swerve, you see the big rudder move. It looks like full deflection to the left. That's not good technique, in my opinion. So I'm not sure what's going on here. What do you think happened here, Nick?
Well, I mean, I read all this, assuming I'm the Nick you're asking, and everyone seemed to think it was a burst tire, and I'm going, nah. A burst tire does not cause that kind of drag on the undercarriage. So you would get a little bit, but no, it'd be easily controllable. So I couldn't get the video to play in a sufficient resolution to see the rudder, so I just assumed that was an engine failure. But even so, having done so many in the sim, you do get a swing, but it's nowhere near as big as that. So
I don't think it was an engine failure, because this information here is from the Aviation Herald, and usually in the narrative of this, they would say, "Oh, there was an engine failure." And they had to do a rejected, but there's no mention of any problem with the engine. So,
well, in that case,
I don't know. I mean, maybe it was.
I can only think that someone stamped on the rudder. I mean, I can't think of another good reason why the airplane would lurch in such a dramatic manner. So perhaps someone got cramp in his leg. I thought, I just need to straighten my leg. Ow.
I don't know about you, Nick, but I know that I've experienced, like in the middle of the night, having like a leg cramp and having to get up from the bed and like just, hobble all over the place. I'm thinking, I hope this never happens to me when I'm at the controls rolling down the runway for takeoff or landing. Because if it does, it's not going to be a pretty sight at all.
No, exactly. Or perhaps someone's chair did something weird. To boot one.
Has there been any history at all of Airbus, like I know the 737, earlier versions of the 737 occasionally had issues with the hard over rudder, but I've not heard of anything like that with the Airbus A320.
No, I have never heard of an erroneous flight control input other than that. Remember the A330 that was coming out of Australia and had some uncommanded pitch downs, and that turned out to be an Adaroo, the air data computer. The voting system went awry because two computers failed with almost exactly the same parameters at the same time. And the computer went, well, those two are correct. And the other one, which was actually the only good one, I'm going to vote you out. Which Airbus have now realized, despite the remoteness of that possibility. They've now fixed that. So couldn't happen.
Yeah.
But
I think that was a former U.S. Navy pilot who was flying for the Australian airline. And I think they were coming in from somewhere north of there and coming into Western Australia to Perth, I believe. And somewhere off the coast, that event occurred. And yeah, wow, it was very, very scary.
That was the only time I've ever heard of Airbus having a significant flight control issue. And of course, it wasn't actually the flight controls that had the issue. It was the air data being fed to them.
Right.
But, you know, whatever. That's no excuse. You should build a system that is completely robust. Having said that, I've never heard of a flight control going array like this on an Airbus, but...
Yeah, we're hoping to find some more information. We'll be watching the Aviation Herald.
I'm just gonna put a £5 note on the desk here that was a pilot input, an accidental pilot input. I reckon.
I think you're right.
But there
you go.
That stands for piss, isn't it? Sorry, that was Liz in the background saying pilot-induced observing. That wasn't me just randomly swearing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you for the context. Well, no, you're the one that came up with it, Liz, so we're squarely blaming you for that. Yeah. Well, staying on this theme of runway excursions, the next item... I don't think I've skipped anything. Final report. Let's see. Wow. This happened quite some time ago, 2013. A Thai A330-300 was going from Guangzhou. I always say Guangzhou, China to Bangkok.
Yeah, that's
with 287 passengers and 14 crew, landed on Bangkok's runway 19 left at about 23:30 local time, but veered right off the runway and came to a stop with all gear on soft ground about 1,700 meters down the runway. A large plume of dust rose above the aircraft, initially creating fears of a crash, followed by smoke from the right-hand engine. The aircraft was evacuated via slides. 14 people received minor injuries in the evacuation. 3 of the injured still in the hospital care 48 hours later. Again, this was back in 2013 when this occurred. So here is the final report. Boy, they take their time, don't they? 10 years?
What?
Very thorough.
What?
Very thorough.
Very thorough, yeah. Okay. The Thailand's Aircraft Accident Investigation Committee, which apparently took a big break. They got back together and got this final report, concluding the probable cause of the accident were the accident caused by the fragmentation of the right-hand main landing gear bogie beam made the aircraft veered off the runway.
Yeah, we just had a story like this, right?
We did, yeah. It was also a 330, I believe. The aircraft fuselage, both engines were damaged. The right engine was on fire. However, the cause of the damaged main landing gear bogie beam could not, I want to say like rubber buggy bumpers. The MLG bogie beam could not be found due to the cracks were damaged while the aircraft was scraping the runway surface. Okay. So, another bogie beam. And apparently, and there's a lot of detail here in this final report. We're not going to go over it all, but I guess you could say that to summarize it in a way is that there were some corrosion pits that were that should have been detected but weren't because they didn't do proper procedures in reapplying some sort of maybe Nick Camacho. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at this, but there was something they said that was supposed to be applied to the metal of the main landing gear bogie beam that prevents corrosion. And then over that, I think they're supposed to, put some kind of a regular paint over that. And apparently they skipped that step or something. And so little tiny corrosion pits occurred. And we're talking like fractions of a millimeter, very, very tiny little pits. But apparently it's important to detect that.
Yeah, so I haven't read this yet, so I was just glancing over it. But this is so this one section that says areas within the bogie pivot bore were found without the presence of Ardrox coating believed to have been removed and subsequently not replaced at the right-hand main landing gear bogey pivot pin inspection on March 2013. So this is a clear case of maintenance-induced failure, right? So they created a maintenance step that they thought would allow the airplane to operate safer, but in doing that, and it may have, right? Like there's probably good reason that they need to inspect this pivot pin, but because they are taking that pivot pin out and having to probably strip it to do some sort of like ultrasonic or x-ray inspection on it, when they didn't put the coating in, that immediately caused this secondary issue. So, and you know, you mentioned the depth of the corrosion pits, and you know, it's one of the insidious things about corrosion is it's even if it's small, right? It changes the way that the member handles loads. So if you have a inclusion or a pit in an airplane part, and it's say like 10% less thick or something because of a pit, it's not just 10% less strong there. It also creates a stress concentration there, so it generally tends to fail much quicker because you have a irregularity or stress concentration in that area. So that's one of the reasons that corrosion can be cause cracks and then cause failures much quicker than we would expect.
Yeah, it's not something where you're going to be able to see when you're doing your walk around, before a flight, because we're talking like 0.67 millimeters or 0.2 or just teeny. I mean, a millimeter is, teeny tiny to begin with, and we're talking fractions of a millimeter as far as the
and also this is, I think, this is internal, right? This is like the internal sleeve of the.
So you wouldn't be able to see it anyway.
Of the bogey, so it's not even accessible to the pilots.
Okay.
And it also seems like there was some confusion about the inspection criteria, because it talked about this. I don't remember if you read this section or not, but it said the DCA has the power to regulate the 6 monthly maintenance report form as prescribed in Section 4180 of the Air Navigation Act. I don't know what that is. That 6 monthly maintenance report form. I think that's probably a required form for that operator for their however they're operating.
Yeah, apparently there were a bunch of airworthiness directives issued by the European Aviation Safety Agency, EASA. But I guess the airline, they kind of interpreted it as, well, we've already done this thing,
right,
and so we don't need to comply with any of those others.
Yeah. And they looked like they probably stacked up on top of each other, right? Because there was 270314, 2007-0314, 2008-0093, 2011-0141, and 2012-0015. And then it said the content in the AD states that unless already accomplished or required as indicated, unless accomplished previously, which might cause confusion among the operators. So, yeah, it sounds like they just got all sorts of wires crossed about which inspections had been done, which inspections they had done, which inspections may have been done before they acquired the airplane.
So clearly this is a case of pilot error, then what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Just for those listeners who might be a tad confused, can I just say the Air Navigation Act is the legal process of putting something into law, and the bogey beam is the bit that goes fore and aft in the bogey. So you can imagine the four wheels there. The bogey beam joins the front pair of wheels to the back pair of wheels, and it should be a nice long solid connection. And the oleo that is attached to the bogey actually attaches to that beam. So that's is what supports all four wheels, and it is the attachment point for the oleo.
Yeah, it's a saggy beam
very
for sure.
Sad sagging. Yes. So I was thinking those pivot pins are the pits.
Oh no! Here we go. I see another alliteration title.
We've just had one now. Come out two, surely.
Yeah, well, if we can't come up with anything better, then somebody write
They
that
left
down.
a nice set of rails in their pretty tarmac.
It really
didn't
did.
it?
Very impressive tracks down the
Yes.
scrapes down that runway. Look,
Yeah.
just shows
Yeah,
you the amount of force and weight.
Yeah, it must have sounded pretty impressive.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. All right. Well, now we know what happened. Let's. After 10 years, we can all rest assured it wasn't pilot error. Whew, good. So the next two news items, we'll cover them quickly here, involve Spirit Airlines here in the U.S. About, I don't know, a little over a week ago, there was a little snafu. A bunch of flights were canceled, mostly out of Orlando, their Orlando base. And there was speculation that it had something to do with the engines on its new engine option versions of the Airbus. But in this case, they canceled 11% of their flights on the 20th of October to accommodate mandatory inspections on the potential fatigue cracking in a specific bracket on the aircraft's airframe. It was a 2018 airworthiness directive it says it could offer us more insight here. The directive was a response to fatigue tests that detected cracks around fasteners and pressure panels. Additionally, cracks were found under longitudinal beams at locations not previously included in the inspection protocol. This issue predominantly affects first-generation Airbus A320 family jets, sparing the new A320neo models. Anyway, so the entire fleet at Spirit are Airbuses, narrow-body Airbuses, but they have a good mix of older generation 320s, new 320s, 321s, and A319s. So there you go. They had to cancel a bunch, and it was, a lot of people were upset. And then this news item came out, I think, just a day or two after that, and said that Spirit now is suspending new pilot training after a tough quarter and also engine issues. Spirit posted a third quarter loss, and they forecast another loss in the next quarter. The carrier told pilots it will suspend new pilot and flight attendant training next month. The budget airline reported softer demand, which is kind of odd. I mean, I think that the majors are experiencing very strong demand, and it will have to ground dozens of planes due to a Pratt & Whitney engine manufacturing issue. So in the Neo, they're using I think this is the geared turbofan, the Pratt & Whitney.
Yeah, it is.
Is it the 1100? Mm-hmm. Is that what they call that one? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's see. They had to. The Miramar, Florida-based discount carrier said it expects to have to ground an average of 26 Airbus A320neo aircraft for inspections of engines made by the RTX unit at Pratt & Whitney after that company disclosed a manufacturing defect in August. Carrier said it expects 13 grounded planes in January, rising to 41 in December of next year. The airline had a fleet of 202 Airbus airplanes as of September 30th. The thing that was amazing to me, of course, they were seeking compensation from RTX for this issue. And last month, RTX, again, that division of Pratt & Whitney, said that it expected repairs to take between 250 and 300 days.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a very long
time. What? I had to reread that again. I highlighted that thinking, that can't be right. With an average of 350 planes powered by the geared turbofan engines grounded worldwide between 2024 and 2026. Yikes, this is not a good thing.
Mind you, Rolls-Royce had a similar kind of problem with remember their blade corrosion issues? Mm-hmm. That was, an equally difficult one. And it was really because of the length of time it takes to produce new engines and replacements for existing engines. All of a sudden, you've got this huge demand on production, which is impossible to ramp up in, the time given. So I suspect that might have something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Spirit, JetBlue is trying to basically acquire Spirit Airlines, and the Justice Department has sued to block the merger. And this article says the trial is expected to begin next week in Boston. Well, it's already started, and so if it it just seems like everything is going the wrong way for Spirit Airlines right now.
Yeah. There's not going to be much for them to buy at this rate. They're going to get a bargain company if they succeed in purchasing them, aren't they?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to this next item. This was kind of, it's kind of funny for us because we didn't have any luggage on this airplane. Let's see. It was an IndiGo Airbus A321-200N, registration Victor Tango India Mike Charlie, performing flight 1006 from Singapore to Bangalore, India. Was climbing out of Singapore when the crew stopped the climb at flight level 270 after it was detected that the luggage of the previous flight 1005, from Bangalore to Singapore had not been unloaded. The aircraft returned to Singapore for a safe landing on runway 20 right about 1 hour after departure. Liz is asking a good question. Weight and balance, wouldn't that be an issue?
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Liz beat me to it.
Yeah, she did.
Did these guys go off with a load sheet that was based on no luggage, or did they leave it on the load sheet? Either of which is a pretty major mistake. But if you went off without an adjusted load sheet, unwittingly having a hold full of luggage, that could have been a disaster.
Yep.
And the reason
they're just
it could have been disaster, is that if you try and fly an airplane outside of center of gravity limits, you could suffer dire handling problems, and it can be the result of a crash. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, and then your luggage would be all over the place on the ground, nowhere near any airport.
Yeah.
So that'd be a bigger problem. Yeah, and your body too. Yeah, well, so I think they were just trying to do these folks a flavor. They had just come in from Bangalore, India, and they were just returning the luggage, a little bit earlier than the people were expecting it to be back in India.
Yeah.
Anyway, so oopsie. Yeah, then I'm sure it's never happened before. No, it probably has. It's just that we're just learning about this one or hearing about it. This next item from Paddle Your Own Canoe. I thought was pretty interesting.
To come up with this.
Yeah. So this, the article is related to Airbus, but it really is. It's a ship. It's a story about a ship that Airbus is going to contract, and I thought it was a very, very cool looking ship. It just looks like they forgot to put the sails on these masts, though.
Well, to me, it looks like an upside down oil rig, but there you go.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a normalish looking cargo. What do they call these carriers? These
bulk cargo carrier,
bulk cargo carriers, whatever. Anyway, containers. There we go. The container is the word I was looking for. That has the ability to carry like big fuselage sections and wing sections and big parts of Airbuses from parts of the world, Europe, and then over to the only Airbus assembly plant here in the United States in Mobile, Alabama. And but the thing that's interesting about the ship is that they have these huge pillars that are projecting upward, and I'm thinking, how does that provide any force or any assistance? And so it has to do with something called the Flettner, Flettener, Flettner rotor, or the Flettner or the Magnus effect of the Flettner rotors. And they've even had, it's been a while, but they've had airplanes that have experimented with using this physics propulsion mechanism or system. It causes an aerodynamic force to be generated in the direction perpendicular to both the long axis and the direction of airflow. And Liz, if you'll, there you go. If you click in that image, I think you'll actually get to play it. There's a way to actually play this. No, back to it. And so if you hold your cursor over the middle of it, you should see like a play button there. No, just hold your cursor right over that image that we're looking at. Yeah, and it's not doing anything. Yeah, that's disappointing. Maybe it doesn't work in the presentation view. Anyway, we'll play with that later. So that just shows that's a shame, because I was hoping that we could watch this this rotor, turning, the cylinder turning, and smoke being blown past it, and you can see how the effect or the turn of the rotor is causing a 90-degree force to project from. In this case, the airflow is coming from right to left, and then the resultant force is upward. And again, that's the Magnus effect. And I'm thinking, well, okay, so if the ship is going straight, it would have to be a wind force coming from the side, wouldn't it, to make the resultant force?
You've got exactly the same direction as me, Jeff, because I was going, hang on a minute, how does this provide a forward force?
I guess it's kind of like when you're tacking with a sailing vessel, that you don't always have the wind right at your tail, right? It's a lot of times to the side. So maybe it's sort of like that. I don't know. I'm not a sailor, so I don't know how all this stuff works. But
well, yeah, I mean, it seems very directionally important to get the airflow hitting your rotors at the right angle. Otherwise, they're going to tip you over instead of pull you forwards. So very dependent on your wind direction. Of course, you're going forward, so you're generating your own wind heading towards it. And if there's no wind blowing, you just can't use these things, I wouldn't have thought, because they'll just tip you over, because any airflow is coming straight towards you, and the reaction is only to the side. So I'm going, I don't understand how this is a very practical solution.
But there must. Yeah, they are going green. Yeah, so I just need to go over here and quickly push that button.
We're going green.
They're going green.
Well done.
We're going green.
They're going to take care of the Earth.
And of course, you've also got to spin these damn rotors using your own engines.
Direct connection. Yeah, exactly. They're geared
for it to work.
To turn these things. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there that has some, some knowledge of this technology. Yeah. Maybe they could kind of expound upon it or expand on it.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
that's
please.
Yeah.
God, groan.
Yeah, not really that funny. What's that? Tim Van Ram says, I wonder if the ship has a keel that would allow sailing closer.
Oh, yeah.
Into
I'm
the
sure
wind.
it probably does. I mean, I would think any boat that's using the wind would need a keel.
Well, I was quite close to Airbus a little while ago, so I should have asked them, shouldn't I?
Yeah. A little disappointed you didn't.
No, well.
That's the way it goes sometimes. Yeah. Oh, this next item, we'll end our news segment with this. Let's see, from Paddle Your Own Canoe. 2 passengers boarded a Viet jet flight from Bangkok to Taipei's Taiwan airport on Wednesday with at least 28 turtles, 2 otters, several rodents, a snake and a marmot, and a partridge in a pear tree. Thank you. Yes.
Were they getting on an airplane or an ark?
In this case, an airplane. It's surprising to think that the passengers thought that they could get away with smuggling so many live animals on the same flight, but it turns out that they were nearly very nearly caught after their luggage was flagged for additional checks at the Bangkok airport. Unfortunately, after flagging the bag during routine X-ray screening, a security officer at the Suvarnabhumi airport. I wish I could find that one. At the I can't. It's not there. Darn it. Oh, that's the wrong one there. Very, very similar to Svirajaya. Yeah. Oh, well. They failed to open the bag. So it was flagged, but they didn't open the bag, and the passengers were allowed to board the flight. Once they were in the air, several of the animals, including an albino rat and a baby otter, managed to escape the bag and were spotted by other passengers in the cabin of the Vietjet flight number 564. Cabin crew called on the owners to come forward, and after some initial reluctance, one woman owned up to being responsible. On arrival in Taiwan, the woman's baggage was screened, and a whole host of other animals were discovered in her checked bag. It's not known what the smugglers intended to do with the animals, but Taiwanese officials say the majority will need to be euthanized to comply with strict quarantine rules. That's sad.
Oh, no.
As for the security officer in Bangkok, local officials say that he's going to be flogged and probably no. So the animals weren't detected due to human error, and that disciplinary proceedings could follow. Yeah.
Human error and several thousand baht.
Neil, it says Captain Jeff is great in our live audience. Emotional support menagerie is what this was. Yeah. Thank you, Tim, for that. Oh, look,
Sriwijaya.
I found it. Okay,
yeah, very good.
Time to get to know us. Okay, well then I'll do this. Yay, getting to know us. Time of the show where we get all caught up with what everybody has been up to. And Camacho, you've been very, very busy. And I assume it has mostly to do with work projects and such, but why don't you fill us in? What's been going on with you?
Yeah, so I can't remember the last time I was on the show. I think I've missed 3 episodes, maybe.
Really? That many?
Or two, maybe just two. I was on work travel for a couple of weeks. So out in the San Luis Obispo area. When I left, I was a little bit bummed because, here we usually get like 3 weeks of good weather in the fall, 3 weeks of good weather in spring, and then it's just bitterly cold in the winter and it's bitterly hot in the summer.
You missed it, didn't you?
And it was really nice right as I was getting ready to leave. And so when I showed up, I told my boss, I said, hey, this better be worth it because you're burning 2 of my 3 good weeks in the fall. But fortunately, he laughed at me, and then it got really cold and almost snowed the next week. And it's just now returning to pretty nice weather. So I actually timed it perfectly, much to my wife's despair, as I disappeared and the weather got cold really bad for a week. Well, so we got like 4 inches of rain the first week I was gone in about a day and a half. And then it was down in the 30s and 40s last week. And now we're back up into the 60s. So the weather has been nice for my return. I got a bunch of stuff done for work. And then additionally, I got to work on the C-47, both C-47s, the static display airplane that's that's near us, as well as Betsy's Biscuit Bomber. And then the second weekend I was out there, actually got to fly it. So there's a picture of me in the first officer's chair, flying with one of our captains. We just did a quick little local tour. Here's the aerial picture of Hearst Castle, if anyone is familiar with that. It's a gigantic sprawling estate there just north of San Luis Obispo on the coast of California.
Beautiful.
Here's another. It's out there in the distance. You can kind of see it in front of that propeller blade. But one thing we found is that even though it costs us money to fly the airplane, it costs us a lot of money every time we fly the airplane. the airplane is much more. We have many less maintenance issues if we fly the airplane regularly, which is a pretty common belief. And so we've really tried to fly the airplane, no less than about once a month or once every 6 weeks or so. So if we don't have any shows or anything, we have just a little local scenic course that we take to get the airplane up and get it operational and get everything lubed up and get oil splashed everywhere, run fuel through the fuel system and keep it happy. So that's what that was. We were just on one of our little local exercise flights, got out on the coastline, got up over Hearst Castle and got back safely. Here's a picture of one of the other guys took our T-34 up and did a little formation with us. So that was fun. It was a good trip. Good
So that's
short flight.
Looks great.
That's
Have you
not
shut
too
an
far
engine
down the
down
coast.
on that one?
No, I have not shut us. Have not shut an engine down on that one in that picture.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Well, because what? Because the propeller's not moving?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird.
Dangerous.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about the where I'm trying to recall. I've been to San Simeon and the Hearst Castle, like some kind of a field trip, or maybe it was a family outing when I was a kid, and I remember it very well. Especially that pool. That is a very impressive.
Oh yeah. I haven't been there in ages, but I remember them talking about the pool and like the gold flake, the gold leaf inlays, and the pool tiles, and
yeah. It's amazing. It really is. And
Yeah.
is that pretty close to Paso Robles?
Yeah.
that whole area. Okay.
Yep. So San Luis Obispo, Paso Robles is about 30 or so minutes north of San Luis Obispo, and then San Simeon is, as the crow flies, probably the same distance west from Paso Robles. So to drive there, it's a little longer. It's probably a half-hour drive from Paso Robles, or like a 45-minute or hour drive from Slow. But they all make this big triangle, and San Simeon's, obviously you can see it's real beautiful. It's kind of, there's a small little mountain. It's on the coast, and then immediately from the coast, as you go inland, it's kind of this little mountainous area before you drop into the little Paso Robles Valley there. So it's really a beautiful little place, kind of off on its own.
It's nice.
And a neat place to visit.
Yep. Very good. What else? Anything else? Yeah, we're glad.
Yeah,
back
I
with
think
us
that was
today.
about it. Time to get back to.
Yeah. Any update on the engine?
Yeah. So I'm close to putting it in the airplane. Unfortunately, I had to extend my trip about 5 days, so I'm a little behind where I wanted to be. And I actually have the opportunity to take a maintenance course this weekend. So I'll be a little preoccupied this weekend, so I probably won't get back to working on it heavily until the beginning of next week. But I'm hoping we're still only about a week or so away from dropping that thing in the airplane, and then a month or two of me building up my courage to take it out and fly it. So we'll see.
What could possibly go wrong?
I had to send a bunch of stuff out to get cleaned up or IRAN'd or inspected, or the propeller governor. I sent the propeller governor out, sent the propeller out, sent my oil pressure, oil temperature gauge out. All these things to either get calibrated or recertified, so I make sure I don't have any issues in the case of the gauge, or like the propeller and the propeller governor. Those are things that are directly tied into the oil system of the engine. So I wanted to make sure they were cleaned out, and I didn't have any like leftover sludge or metal in those things that then introduced it to the engine. So did all that, dumped all that stuff to various shops as I was leaving, and then my wife was just continually, you got another package, you got another package, you got another package. And I was like, I'm not buying things. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but I'm spending money on stuff we already had. It's not like I'm getting new stuff.
Yeah, that money's already spent.
Yeah. So
Well, you know
But yeah,
what?
that's
You need to
about it
get
for
a
me.
test pilot to fly that thing. But I guess you are the test pilot.
I am the test pilot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I will have. Yep. I've got a couple of different people that I'm trying to get lined up to come and look at it, so I get plenty of sets of eyes on it, and then we'll probably take someone up with me the first time, just because I haven't flown the airplane a whole lot, so I'm not incredibly proficient. I've got a buddy who has a Debonair also, so I'm thinking about trying to go up and fly with him a couple of times just to get my brain kind of dialed in and make sure that I'm where I need to be in terms of flying the airplane.
Come on, just go and John Wayne it.
If I recall, Captain Nick, the last time you flew a single-engine airplane, you had a rocket strapped to your butt, so it wasn't a big deal if it failed.
Well, that's true, but I'm just about to tell you of the last time I flew one, which is very recently.
Oh, yeah. Very good. Let's hear about it. Yep.
Oh, well, can't wait to hear about that. I guess we can.
It's over to me. Okay, right. That was very nice to hear all about that. And your shiny engine, Nick. I have just come back from Hamburg, where I did not have a hamburger. I'll explain what I did eat. But I was over. Yeah, I know,
you probably
dreadful.
wish you had.
Yeah, indeed. Instead of what I did eat, I was over there for to give a talk to the Hamburg Royal Aeronautical Society, which was very good of them to fly me over there and put me up in a nice hotel. And, of course, I took the opportunity while I was there to meet up with our wonderful listener and podcaster in his own right, Stefan. Now, Stefan, retired 380 captain, has his own I say his own aircraft. He works at a flying school, so he has access to a lot of airplanes. But we picked one that was close to the hangar doors to save a lot of messing about, which turned out to be a Piper, some kind of single-engine light aircraft thingy. I think if you flick one on, Liz, you'll see there you go. A Piper Aircraft Corporation, what is it, a Comanche or something? I can't quite read
That's
that.
a Cherokee. A PA-28 is a Cherokee, yeah.
There you go. So that's what it was. Anyway, it was great fun.
Wait a minute. The registration is Dead Duck? Oh, that's not good. I would not want to fly that.
Dead Duck, yes, you're quite right. I hadn't spotted that. That's, well done. Stefan's going to love that when he hears this. Brilliant. So we had to drag the aircraft out all the way past those parked aeroplanes, and I took a picture of it in its parked position because Stefan said I wasn't allowed to take a picture of those dead aeroplanes, one of which is a Queen of the Sky who's lost a lot of her attributes. Yeah, and apparently one of the previous owners was a company dear to my own heart, so I know where she came from. Anyway, off we went. Stefan flew me around, which was great fun, and then said, do you want to go and do some flying? And I said, yeah, that'd be wonderful. So we did some, it's not an aerobatic thing, so I did a steep turn. I managed to get round and hit my own slipstream, which is always good. You always know it's worked. Did a touch and go around and a touch and go at a local grass strip, which was grand. And then we did a tour of Hamburg, looking at the beautiful River Elbe. And it's a fairly industrial place. Now, hang on a second here, Liz, because there's some aeroplanes in that shot. Now, that is the Airbus factory where they complete construction and outfitting of A320s, and they have got a little airplane park out the front there. So the big question is, what are those aeroplanes? Now, there's
the
a
Super Guppy, obviously.
Guppy, yeah,
That's
in
pretty
the
obvious.
middle. Yeah. Now, the other ones, not quite so certain. You know, I did actually take the trouble to find out what they were. I think the one on the right is a French thing, some kind of Atlas. And then the green one between the Guppy and the Atlas, that looks like a Transall. And then you got a forward swept wing thing, which
what is that?
It's a German thing. I'm a Dornier of some kind. I can't remember the number.
Dornier.
And then you've got another thing with the engines mounted, instead of slung under the wing on pylons, they're stuck on top of the wing. Two engines,
kind of like the Honda Jet.
Yeah, that almost looks like a baby Guppy next to that Super Guppy, because the engines are in real tight like the Super Guppy.
No, it's not. It's Airbus Nor Atlas. I said Atlas. It's a Nor Atlas. Yeah, but no, there's another thing with the engine stuck on top. Another strange.
Yeah,
German
on the
thing.
far left there.
Yeah, indeed. So that was an interesting moment. Don't want to go on too long trying to guess, but so let's flick on there, Liz. And of course, we saw some of the nicer sights of Hamburg. There's a beautiful cathedral. That's that building right in the foreground is their new opera house, and is a great success. Everyone apparently loves it. And then we flew on back to our point of departure, which was Hamburg Airport. And interestingly, Stefan lined up behind an airliner. I don't know what it was, Airbus 320 or something. And I was going, geez, we're going to, if we're not careful, we're going to get turned upside down by the weight turbulence of this thing, because we're landing directly behind it. But Stefan was very clever. He adjusted his landing point and angle of approach to land at the intersection of the two runways, which is well down the runway. So all the time we made our approach, we stayed above the wake turbulence and the vortices. So I thought that was really nice job. And then we landed. There's a funny thing sticking out the top of Stefan's aeroplane. I don't know what that is.
But looks not aerodynamic at all. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. But because we'd had to push it out, Stefan suddenly found a motorized towing device, which was like a lawnmower.
Was that one of yours, Camacho?
Attached to the front wheel, which towed the aeroplane in. And then we refueled, but Stefan had to point out that there, right on the middle of those stickers, it says Nick's 64 litres, which apparently how many litres of fuel we had to add, because I was on board, because I'm not a small chap. So they had an extra 64 litres on because Nick was flying. And that's Stefan
the extra
adding all that extra fuel. Yeah, indeed. But that was a great fun flight, and lovely to see Stefan. But it didn't end there, because Stefan then, we met up in the evening and had lots of fabulous German beer, and had a meetup. And there's some audio to play, please, folks.
All right.
Jeff, hi, it's Nick, and welcome to Germany. We're in Hamburg, and I'm at the Dusseldorf restaurant, and I'm here with my great friend, Stefan, and some new friends who will introduce themselves. Now, Stefan's putting his hand in front of his face because we've been arguing about the pronunciation of his name. Anyway, look, here I am, and we're going to go around the table as usual. So all the best, and please forgive the finger trouble. I'm going to send you, first of all, over to my left. Here we go.
Yes. Hi, Jeff. Hi, APG crew. My name is Kai. I'm located here in Hamburg. I'm not in your industry. I work for a major US IT company. And yeah, I love flying my ultralight plane, but that's all what I have to say.
Hello, I'm Stefan. You can also call me Steve if that's easier. I'm also from Hamburg, and it's a very good opportunity to meet Nick and some other good friends. I work for a shipping company though, but I'm interested in aviation for over 30 years. But when I fly, it's usually as a passenger.
Hi, I'm Tim. I'm from Berlin. I just got my private pilot's license alongside my regular day job. And in my regular job, I love that there is like a relatively small community and everybody is super inviting. And now that I joined the pilot community, I realized that that community is even smaller and even nicer. So, way to go. Thanks.
Oh, it's my turn. Hi, Jeff. Hi, everybody. Hi, Liz. Hi, Steph. Stefan from Hamburg calling. I know you're really up to here about our German funny accents. That's why you really love to record our voices. I know that's right. I see Nick laughing about it. Yes, welcome. We are very crowded, small places here. And I'm going to, getting a lot of German food into Nick. I wonder how he will like that. And maybe next time we see over in the States or somewhere else. And great show. Keep on. Oh, back to you to the studio. I was told that you have to cut the rest out. Okay. Thank you.
Sounds like you had a great meetup.
Oh, we did. And this was a nice old traditional restaurant, and their specialty was Wiener Schnitzel. So that was superb. Really enjoyed that. That was lovely. Of course, next day I was going to give my talk, but beforehand I had nothing much to do. So Stefan was going to be busy, but then his student cancelled on him because the weather wasn't brilliant. So he pitched up. And we wondered what to do. I would love to have seen the miniature world that features in Hamburg, but it's so popular, it's almost impossible to get tickets. Instead, we went into an old Russian submarine, the U-434, and we had a good clamber around the U-434, which, a Cold War Soviet submarine. It was even worse than I could possibly have imagined. But anyway, and there were some pretty tight accesses to go in. And I wondered actually who made this submarine, because there wasn't any real way to tell until we got to the engine room. And there I found a little manufacturer's plaque there in the middle. So that was no surprise at all.
It's a good Austrian name, isn't it? Boeing?
It is indeed. That's exactly. It's spelt slightly wrong, but there you go.
Well, yeah.
Very, very good indeed. So that was a fun thing to crawl around. But as a parting gift, Stefan took me to one of the lovely little cafes they have on the edge of the river, where we had... Now, I have no idea how to pronounce that. Matthias Brochen.
Sounds pretty good.
I know what it is in English. It's soused herring, but I didn't know what it was until it pitched up, and that's what we ate. So it's a kind of raw herring. Pickled is vinegar. This is sort of put in salt. The salt kind of cures it a bit, but that's what we had for lunch. I was a very brave boy.
Is that onion that's also on there?
Yeah. On the side of that, or a leg. But anyway, it looks like it's trying to crawl away, doesn't it? But this was another traditional German, particularly for Hamburg. And, of course, Stefan loved his, and I did my best to love mine. Yeah. So that was
he's eating.
Yeah, he's demonstrating in that picture just how much he loves it. But then it was time to go to the airport after the talk, which went fine, and go to the airport and go home. So that kind of was my Hamburg trip, all done and dusted. Quite enjoyed the flights, by the way. 2 Airbuses, that were fine. After that, only a few days, I think I got one clear day at home. I was off up to Manchester to TAS, TAS, the Aviation Society. And I gave a talk, second time I've been up there, and gave a talk to TAS. And this was live streamed on YouTube by Airlines Live, if you know of that. They are set up there. They film aircraft flying in and out of Manchester. I think they go further afield than that, but very nice pair of guys. And in addition to showing pictures of aircraft, they get involved with the Aviation Society at Manchester, and they televise their talks. So I got televised doing my talk, and that was Carlos from PT UK who watches, and he went, "Oh, there's Captain Nick." Absolutely, yeah. Liz is reminding that we're going to put a link to the Airliners Live and also to that particular recording of the talk. So if you're interested, it was a new talk for me to give. It's all about the F-18, and if you're interested, it's all there. And while I was there, I also met the cadets of 284 Squadron, the RAF Air Cadets, and I managed to palm them off with a few hats, Jeff. So I'm slowly whittling down the supply of
the hat
hats
collection
that you left behind when you came to visit. But was my talk in German? Nine. No, I was very lucky that most of the audience actually were relatively young, and some were retired Airbus engineers, including a lovely lady who had helped design and build the A340, so that was fascinating. Most of them are current engineers or people living working in Hamburg. And they, of course, being a very well educated place, they all spoke pretty good English, certainly better than my German. And back to TAS, I just wanted to thank Mike, who was the guy that organizes the lectures and got me along, and Simon, the chap who is one of our devoted listeners, who entertained me the first time I went up to Manchester, and I met him again this time around. So that was all fine and beautiful, great fun. And just a reminder, I'm heading up to the Hawker Association, which is at the YMCA Hawker Centre in Kingston on the 8th of November. So that is early next week. And I think that talk is at about 2 o'clock, 1:45. I think they open the doors. And I'm giving the talk I normally do, which is about, phantoms and Soviet bears and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sorry to have taken so long this time, but that has been my very busy week.
Yes, very interesting. I have a question. The audio from your meetup, I'm confused. There was a gentleman there. His name was pronounced Stefan, and then we had Stefan. Are those spelled differently? Is one with an A-N and the other with an E-N?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the thing that confused me is Stefan with an E, Stefan. He spells his name differently on various social media. So I wasn't certain of how the spelling was, or I went by his... Yeah, exactly right. But there was also a Stefan there. So we had Stefan and Stefan. So hence the discussion about how to pronounce
I see, because that just confused me even more when I heard that audio.
And iHall Boxes knows how to pronounce Matthias Brotchen. Matthias Brotchen, the name of that soused herring.
He is just a
hamburger.
A font, a veritable cornucopial font of useless information.
Yes. Doused herring for a soused pilot is what my name. Yeah. But I have to say, the beer is fabulous. And we nearly went in and bought a marzipan penis, but we didn't do that.
Pardon me?
Stefan was showing me a cafe where they're a speciality cafe. They're a speciality
Get ready
cafe
again. I think it's coming again, Jeff.
where you can buy a marzipan penis. And
darn it!
But
I'm not very good at this.
we decided I didn't want one. So there you go.
Okay. Well,
that's exactly what I was going to buy it for, Liz. I was going to buy it for my wife, but.
All right. Well, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Well, what have I been doing, Liz? Well, of course, I've been doing my You know, that thing. I do a lot of that. Especially lately. We've had some special masses recently. And of course, this week, All Hallows Eve. A lot of people refer to it as Halloween. Because All Hallows is All Saints Day, the next day, which was, I guess, Wednesday. And we had a special, I sang at a couple masses that day. And then we're coming up in this week, the 25th anniversary of St. Peter Chanel. So there are some special masses being held at our church. And so we're pretty busy doing that stuff. Lots of rehearsals and all that kind of thing. Let's see. Oh, also received an email from one of our community members, and I thought he wanted to meet up with me, but it turns out that, well, you'll hear what the real deal is in this audio from our meetup.
Hey, Captain Jeff, Dr. Steph.
That's not
Miami
it.
Rick, if you're there.
I was going to say, that guy sounds familiar.
That sounds like, I don't remember Micah being there. Here, let me try this one. This probably will be more appropriate for the meetup here in Atlanta. Okay, so a quick meetup audio with this KLM crew. What does KLM stand for again? Say it.
Koninklijke Luchtvaartmaatschappij. Airlines.
So I was going to say that, but I wanted to let my guest here, and who I've been calling Jur or Jur, but it turns out it's neither. So please tell our audience, how do you pronounce your name?
Jur. It's short for Jurjan, but Jur is easier, especially for our non-native Dutch speakers.
Thank you very much. So I'm here at the Iron Hill Brewery in Buckhead, an upscale area of Atlanta, because only the best for the KLM crew. Buckhead. That's a pretty nice hotel you're staying in, right? JW Marriott. I've seen worse. Anyway, so you called me up and said, or actually emailed me and said he was going to be here. And so here I am. After the 5 o'clock mass, headed down and got to meet this wonderful group of people. Aviation, professional airline crews are always, for the most part, awesome people. And so I'm going to save yours for last, if you don't mind. And if you want to say something, you can even just say hi or whatever. You don't have to say anything if you don't want. No? You don't want to say anything? Oh, okay. Would you like to?
Hi.
Ooh, I like that. Hi. And what's your name?
It's Marlene.
Yeah, I tried to remember that, and that didn't work. Okay, so we're going to pass the microphone around, and I think this guy right here, he is the first officer of the crew, and he looks to me like he's not afraid to say something. So
now I have to. Yeah, my name is Gerben, first officer of this KLM crew. Yeah. And I'm very happy to be here in how it's called again, the Iron Hill. Iron Hill. Yeah, they have great beers, I must say. Yeah.
And Atlanta, the Empire of the South, what do you call it?
Yeah. And it's nice to visit to see you, Jeff. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been told that a lot. Yeah, Jeff, nice to meet you. You're interesting. That's not necessarily a good thing, but I'll take it. Thank you. Very nice to meet you as well. And then of course the guy that kind of organized this and made it all happen. You're here, so say something to our APG community, sir.
Yeah, I will. I was actually looking for the beer pointers in Atlanta, but now I have the honor to meeting Captain Jeff himself in the flesh, which is really cool. And I'm a junior member of the APG community, but enjoying it and wishing you well, and hope to see more of you guys.
So what I'm getting from this is he really did not want to meet with me. He just wanted me to give him some good pointers for good food and good beer. Oh, well, sorry to disappoint. No, anyway, very nice to meet you in person. And as always, it's great to be with this wonderful airline crew. And that's about it. I think I'm going to go ahead and just send this back to the studio. So why don't you, hey, how about this? In Dutch, say, back to you in the studio, Jeff.
Terug naar studio, Jeff.
There you go. It was a a really, really nice meetup with Ur and his crew. The first person I tried to stick a microphone in front of was his second officer, and he didn't want anything to do with it. Yeah, he was a little shy, I guess. He did not threaten me with a gun, Liz. That's true. Yeah, thankfully. So we had a good time, good food, good beer, and there was a flight attendant there. Yeah, Marianne or whatever I think her name was. Yeah, she was in there, right? Yeah, I think it was because I was talking to you when she was talking. Sorry, Liz. But anyway, it was a great time. That was a busy day for me. I did my normal 4 masses, and then between the third and fourth mass, I met with Natalie, my youngest, and we had a very nice lunch here in historic Roswell, and then went back, did the 5 o'clock, and then down to Buckhead to meet up with the KLM crew. And it was, I was definitely ready for some beer that evening. It was a great day, lots jam-packed with all kinds of great stuff. And let's see, I also wanted to mention that the last show, or the one we talked about, I think it was the last show, we were talking about the meltdown of the dude that hadn't had a lot of sleep and did the magic mushrooms and tried to pull the fire handles. Had a nice comment on the video from somebody named, I don't know what his name is. PD Questions is the YouTube channel. PD Questions 7673. He said, "Love this podcast. Really appreciate your perspective on aviation incidents. I'm not sure if mental health is the problem in aviation, considering the number of recent losses of separation in runway/airport environments and an actual recent collision at Houston Hobby. I think we should expand our concern to look carefully at mental fitness beyond just being healthy. I don't know if it's complacency or just a robotic confidence in the system, but I think mental sharpness and fitness of pilots is an issue. Maybe if we raise the standard to something way above simply being free of mental conditions and instead establish a standard that mental fitness for aviation should be more akin to being a mental athlete, then maybe people struggling with personal issues and depression will see it more clearly, and they have to self-eliminate and not get anywhere near a cockpit." All I have to say about that is I'm glad that they don't have super high mental athlete standards, but I'm glad that I'm about to retire, and then that way they wouldn't have to weed me out of the system.
Yeah, you and me both, Jeff.
I should mention also quickly that Faro de Pouso, the Brazilian podcast, Landing Light, published the show that they interviewed me on. And normally their shows only last about an hour or maybe a little bit more. This one was 2 hours and 49 minutes. Yay. Almost
well
3
done.
hours of me just talking. You know, it was,
and no one understanding a word you're saying, yeah?
Exactly. These poor Brazilian people are going, what? Anyway, for many reasons for them saying, what? We'll put a link to that in the show notes if you're interested to hear me, go on and on and on about the whole, how I got into flying and podcasting and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, there is another meetup coming up this next weekend, and let's hear about that.
Hey, Captain Jeff, Dr. Steph, Miami Rick, if you're there, one never knows. Hey, Captain Nick and Nick Macho. Hello, everybody, and hello, APG listeners. This is your main man, Micah. And it's Halloween season, so Brian and I decided to do something really spooky. We're going to have a meetup. Yes, we're going to have The Journey is a Reward meetup, but all APG listeners are invited, and that's going to take place in Tampa, Florida. And you know when that's going to happen? Why don't you tell them, Brian?
It's Sunday, November 12th at 4 p.m., and we're meeting at Your Pizza Shop.
It's not my pizza shop.
It's the pizza shop called Your Pizza Shop, and it's located at 1200 8th Avenue in Largo.
And the menu looks great, and they've got a wonderful selection of beers, and we're hoping that a bunch of listeners will join us here. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to get a chance to get together. And look, you guys, you're all invited. So, Jeff, you're practically retired now. Why don't you fly down for the day?
Yeah, fly down to Tampa and come visit with us.
We'd love to see you there.
Yeah, I wish I could, but I'm going to be up in Annapolis for a football game. But I know you guys will have a great time, and I'm hoping that people that are listening to this show that live in the greater Tampa, St. Petersburg area will have a chance to head to Largo for some good pizza and beer and all that stuff. All right. Now, Captain Nick, if you'll tell us about this wonderful cover art from the last episode.
Well, I wasn't on the show, so I kind of got a quick brief.
It was a great show.
Yeah, I can see it would have been without me. So that was I was given as a title, Threat Level 591, and it was about the guy who went a bit loopy on the flight deck. So I tried to do a loopy guy on the flight deck pulling levers, and then I hid the show number so that no one would find it. Of course, it's there, plain and simple. It's the title. So that was it. Not a hard one, but I thought he looked quite interesting, really. Just the sort of man you want to have working beside you.
Yeah, I looked at that. That's a younger looking, that's what I looked like when I was a little bit younger, I think.
When you had hair.
Yes. I still have hair.
You do, I do.
It's just lighter hair.
Is it yours, your own?
Yeah, this is my real hair.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well.
You all sure? Right. Well done, sir. Well done. Coffee fun time. Okay, let me manipulate something here. So I was going to do some screen sharing, but I decided against it. Go here to this.
Johnny, how much more coffee? No thanks.
Yes, please. I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh yeah, the Coffee Fund. It's your way to support the show in a financial way if you have the financial resources to do that. And let's see, we have a couple different things, mechanisms for you to do that. One's called the Coffee Fund Classic method, which is basically a PayPal donation page. We have our monthly contributors that are still going strong, thank you. And but most of the time it's used for like one-off kind of every now and then kind of contributions. And none using that mechanism since the last episode. But we do have a new patron. Patreon.com is the other way that you can support the show financially and be part of the Coffee Fund cadre. And Keith Carlson. Now, you may have heard of Keith. He sent in feedback in the past. He ended up getting a light sport license, or light sport certificate, I guess, more correctly. And then he ended up buying a light sport aircraft, and he filled us in on flying it down to Little Rock, Arkansas, and some of the things that he's been doing with that. And I got a chance to meet up with Keith and Tim Qualls and Keith's family, I don't know, last year sometime, I think, in Little Rock at a very nice restaurant. And Keith treated for that. That was very nice. And so he is the new patron, Keith. And he also sent this message on Patreon. It says, Captain Jeff and APG crew, our old friend Keith from Little Rock. Hope all is well. I've been meaning to do this for a while and become a patron. Apologies for not doing sooner. Your podcast was an early inspiration to me to finally live my dream and get my pilot's license, and so the least I can do is repay the favor. Thank you for all you do. Some exciting news in my world, given the state of my current industry, which is mortgage lending, and current state of the airline business and the pilot shortage. I've decided to go full throttle into my rating and hours with a goal of early to mid 2025 to reach the magical 1,500 hours and apply to the regionals. It's been my lifelong dream to be an airline pilot, and for much of my life, I didn't think it possible. With encouragement from a pilot friend at Envoy and another at United, this is the time. I'll be 44 when I hit the 1,500 hours mark and would still have at least a 20-year career ahead of me. I'm about to complete my instrument rating, and then we'll do the commercial quickly thereafter, leading into CFI and then multi. If you'll remember, I started my journey with just my sport pilot license, but have since picked up my PPL and my complex endorsement. I have to fly about 20 hours per week over this next year, so lots of early mornings and late afternoons around my work schedule. And once I have the CFI, I'll supplement flying my own aircraft with picking up a few students at the local flight school. I'll keep everyone posted on my journey, and thank you again for the fabulous show, maintaining the 50% and keeping me company on those long cross countries. Cheers, Keith. Wow. Thank you, Keith, for that wonderful note. And we need to
great feedback.
Bring the applause for that. And I don't know why I can't see it here. Here we go. That'll work.
Great.
Good job.
Good job.
And,
Congratulations.
We're really looking forward to hearing updates on your progress. And that's so cool. Making a mid-career change like this is pretty bold, and I'm glad you're taking that step. But the timing's great, and we hope that it works out well for you. All right. Okay, it's now time. Do I need a break? I think I'm okay right now. So let's go ahead and play the feedback bumper.
Captain, incoming message.
All right, we've been holding this one for Captain Nick, and so he is now here, and you're going to see why, because this is something that's near and dear to Captain Nick's heart. This is sent to us from Rick, and he says, I'm sure Captain Nick follows this closely. Elite pilots prepare for, this is from AP News, apnews.com. Elite pilots prepare for camping out in the sky as they compete in prestigious ballooning race. It's been 15 years since the world's elite gas balloon pilots have gathered in the United States for a race whose roots stretch back more than a century. And this is from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Flying high in the air, pilots Barbara Fricky and Peter Cuneo will have little room to stretch their legs in a small basket. A solar panel, Cheez-Its, and a GPS unit will also take up space as the accomplished Albuquerque ballooning pilots compete to travel the farthest distance in one of the world's most prestigious races. They'll at least have a trap door on the side of the 4 by 5 foot wide basket so they can stretch out if needed. Be careful. You've got to start thinking, yes, I'm going to live in this basket for 3 days, and this is going to be home, and I'm just camping out in the sky, Fricky said. The pair will be among 3 American teams in a gas balloon race with routes that stretch back more than a century. What's more, it's been 15 years since the world's elite ballooning pilots have gathered in the United States. They're competing for this year's Gordon Bennett Award, I guess. During an international balloon fiesta that draws hundreds of thousands of spectators to the heart of New Mexico each fall. Going back to the basket and being, I don't know if these two are a couple or they're just they have different names, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're not a couple. But so 3 days, can you hold it for 3 days, or are you going to have to?
That's what the trapdoor's for, presumably.
Okay, and I guess you just grin. You just hope the other person looks the other way.
Look away.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay. Yeah, well, good point, Liz. You don't want any bombers.
You could those big seagulls. I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Is this something that you might be interested in? Maybe. I mean, you're still a young man. You can get into this sport.
I was just thinking how much fun that would be. And it's so much fun, I don't think my heart could stand it, So I don't think you'll find me doing that in a hurry. Yeah, exactly right. I wonder if they're both going to go to sleep at the same time.
I don't think that would be a good idea.
Well, I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, it's not like they can avoid
Here we
anyone.
go.
Yeah. I mean, they're
Here we
just
go.
floating around. Yeah, I
You're
mean,
just along for
but
the
if
ride.
they saw someone coming and they decided to try and avoid them, it would take them so long. The person will have gone halfway across the country before they did anything. But there you go. I think the biggest worry, they're quite right, is that they could be mistaken for Chinese spy balloons, and they're probably going to get shot down.
Well, there's some positive spin. Thank you. Or, how, I forgot to ask you about this. Your background, your video background, is showing a lot of fireworks exploding in the back. That could be a possible risk if you're a hot air balloon or a balloon, gas balloon.
These
pilot.
are elite gas balloon. Is that E-light gas? So it's a special kind of light gas, or
yeah, exactly.
But anyway, they're a gas balloon race, so they spend their time throwing out a handful of dirt or something to maintain their altitude. So yeah, different.
So
as long as they don't use hydrogen to, which actually is a really light gas. Ooh, okay. Well, fireworks
didn't I
could
read that
be.
in there? I must
admit,
have misread that.
Thought
I did
noticed
read the
something
article,
about hydrogen.
And I thought they said something about hydrogen. I'm thinking, well, I thought we figured out about 100 years ago or whatever that that's not a good idea.
Oh yeah, usually hydrogen. There you go. The balloons have an envelope filled with a gas lighter than air, usually hydrogen. It's actually not a bad gas, except for the fact that it's explosive, of course. Better than helium, because helium's a heavier gas. Hydrogen, I think, is actually.
Did you say there was a
lighter.
gas lighter in them? That's not good. That could be very
You
hazardous.
fools! No, don't throw away the
a
gas lighter.
than
Yeah.
helium. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, yeah. James Graves Brown. So Captain Ridiculous Wits. I have some amazing pictures from this year's balloon fiesta. I'll send you guys an email with some photos. Yeah, send it just to Captain Nick.
No, that's all right.
He said,
No,
"Yeah,
that's
great
fine.
view from my
Liz
front porch."
loves receiving those kind of emails. That's absolutely fine.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I think that there's a reason that you have the fireworks in your video background, right? What's it's something coming
It's
up?
Guy
like,
Fawkes night.
soon?
This is
Yeah.
celebrating the capture of Guy Fawkes, who tried to blow up Parliament.
Good Catholic.
Yes. It's just a typical
Trying to
thing
get
a
rid of
Catholic would try.
government.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Stinking governments. All right. All right. Moving along. I'm getting the
Move alongside.
yeah. Okay. I have a video on this one. Yeah. Okay. Well, you're probably right. What is it about? Okay. Thanks. That helps.
Number 4.
Yeah. Thank you. That even helps more because I entitled my videos with the numbers. Okay. So let's move on, shall we, to the next. Oh, by the way, thank you, dear whoever that was, Rick, I think, that sent that in. Captain Nick, really appreciate it. All right, here we go. We have some video from Bass Aviation, Real Aviation Communications, using liveatc.net audio.
Alaska 1299 going around.
Okay, let me stop this. We're looking at an overhead view of, or simulation of Portland, Oregon's airport, PDX, and 2 airplanes taking off on parallel runways. And let me see. Let me back it up just a little bit so we can catch the very first radio call. Okay, I think right about here. Boom.
Alaska 1299 going around. Alaska 1299, fly runway heading and maintain 3000. 3000, fly runway heading, Alaska 1299. Alaska 3978, wind able, start your right turn, 340. Wind able, right turn 340, Alaska 1299.
Nope. Wrong one. So Alaska starts turning right, not SkyWest. And of course, the Alaska flight's going right toward the other one.
And maintain Alaska 1299, fly runway heading, fly runway heading.
Yeah.
1298, fly heading 270. Alaska 1298, fly heading 270.
Hello, is this on?
Got 3978, fly heading 340, maintain 6000.
Nobody's answering.
340, 6000, SkyWest 3978. Alaska 1299, traffic ahead and to your right is northbound 1400. 1299, roger. Alaska 1299, thanks. Fly runway heading, maintain 3000. Maintain 3000, runway heading, Alaska 1299. Scott 3978, just verify you're on 340 heading. Starting 340, SkyWest 3978. Scott 3978, thanks. Thanks for the help, maintain 6000.
Thanks for not crashing.
Alaska 1299, contact departure on 118.1 and maintain 4000. Maintain 4000, Alaska 1299, what was the frequency? Alaska 1299, 118.1. 181, Alaska 1299. Scott 3978, contact departure 124.35, thanks for the help.
2435, just want to verify we were given a 280 heading after takeoff.
Departure, he went around, so I needed to turn you.
Oh, he was on a go around, okay.
Okay. There you have it. Another case of miscommunications and possible potential conflict, like a midair collision. Luckily, that was averted by the controller. And again, right at the very beginning, the Alaska, for whatever reason, it doesn't state, they initiated a go-around. It wasn't a commanded go-around from the tower. And then I guess maybe they just assumed that the next radio call would be for them to do something. And it was actually, and it was kind of on our liveatc.net recording. It wasn't super clear, that it was for the SkyWest, although the numbers matched the SkyWest flight. The very first part of it was a little, not very clear.
Yeah, a bit sketchy. It sort of blotted out a little, but
yeah, and I don't know if that's really what the case was in the real world communications, or if just the person that recorded this communication on their scanner, it just had a little kind of a blip. But that could definitely contribute to communication failures or breakdowns. And I don't think that the controller did a good hear back when he was supposed to listen to the read back from the Alaska Air pilot, because the Alaska Air guy, clearly said, okay, fly, heading, whatever the heading was, 290 or whatever initially. And then it wasn't picked up immediately by the tower controller or not the departure controller, that he had, answered for the wrong. I mean, they were executing the directive in error, but they got it all sorted out. But there was a good period of time there, it seems to me, that there wasn't nobody was answering anything, just the controller, putting out instructions, and obviously a lot of communication or confusion happening there.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Jeff. And I doubt that radio call was as bad as we heard it, because the guy that's probably got a monitor is probably not right over the airfield as these guys were. He's probably some distance out and at ground level, which is the same height as the tower's transmitters. They're at ground level. So I think the aircraft probably heard it fine. And anyway, the numbers are really quite different. It's not like it was SkyWest 3999. It was SkyWest 3978 against Alaska 1299. It's slightly disappointing that Alaska didn't have the SA to look at their TCAS, because I think that the traffic advisory and collision avoidance system, because I think that would have probably led them to question the turn they were given. because it's obviously bringing them towards another aircraft. And a bit of a worry that the tower had to call them a couple of times before, when he was trying to get them to correct their heading, and they didn't respond. And I realize they're in a go around, but and things are a bit busy, particularly when you're trying to clean up after a go around. You should really be able to keep your ears out. How do you mitigate this sort of thing? Well, I don't know. The RT was probably fine. The guy needs to listen for the readback, particularly when you've got aircraft that are adjacent. But we kind of have already mitigated this because we fly with TCAS nowadays. Now, as long as they weren't so low that TCAS wouldn't operate, and I think they were probably above that altitude. TCAS gives you a lot of situation awareness you didn't have before, as does looking out of the window, which is the old-fashioned way of making TCAS work. So that is always the fallback. The controller eventually got a grip of it and got them all to turn. I don't know quite why he was so nice to everyone. Nice to the Southwest. He could have been a bit sharper with Alaska, because after all, they're the ones that caused the problem.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say at first, it sounded like the SkyWest flight was kind of surprised or didn't know that there was an Alaska flight on the go around. And that could be, in this case, I don't remember. It's been a while since I've flown out of Portland International. I would imagine maybe these two runways may have separate tower controllers, because the air traffic control communications we're listening to here were the departure controller. So perhaps the SkyWest flight came on frequency after the Alaska flight said that they were in the go around. So I can't, be too hard on them for not being aware, situationally aware that on the parallel runway a little bit to their south, there's an Alaska jet on a go-around. But again,
I don't know quite what they could have done, Jeff. The frequency was already pretty busy with the air traffic controller trying to call the Alaskan aircraft. If they'd tried to fit in another call saying, "Did you know?" Then it might have just added confusion. But I see your point exactly.
Right.
But then again, they've got TCAS as well. They should be able to see this guy creeping up behind them.
I guess my point would be that at my first reaction as well, they should have been listening on the frequency and know that there's an Alaska flight on a go. But again, it could be that they weren't there on that frequency at that point.
Indeed, and might have missed that.
Yeah. So again, let me just replay this very beginning.
1299, fly runway heading and maintain 3000. 3000, fly runway heading, Alaska 1299.
Okay, we're good. Okay, that was good instruction. That's the guy that's on the go. Now let's hear from SkyWest.
3978, when able, start your right turn, 340.
See what I mean at the very beginning of that? Again, we're not sure if that's just the live ATC or if that's really kind of covered up a little bit. But
also,
that's the one that...
When able, start your right turn. They're obviously anticipating a right turn as their departure. The go-around aircraft wouldn't necessarily be expecting a right turn. So I would have thought that would have raised
especially because they're on the left. They're on the left parallel runway, and you would expect that you'd be turning to the left to enter the pattern. Oh, I thought they were departure, Liz, because they told the Alaska flight to go to tower frequency 18.1. Oh, yeah, it does say that on the label. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Maybe that's they're both on this. In this case, then, if they're both on the same tower, no, they're not on the tower frequency. Because later on, it does say go to 18.1. I don't know. I'm not sure. It may. I think that might.
Do
be
they have a different arrivals and departures? I don't know. Frequency.
Yeah, that's a good question. But I just think that they're on departure control, but I could be wrong. Maybe somebody out there smarter than me can come up with that answer. Anyway, I guess the bottom line is that they kept these two airplanes apart. I think we made some good points. You need to be as situationally aware as you possibly can be, both by listening and also using your eyeballs, looking for other airplanes out there, and just, and as controllers, you should be listening better to who is taking your instruction, So
indeed, in the future, CPDLC and the data link that we now transfer instructions that aren't time critical to aircraft, like clearances, this sort of thing, that may be quick enough to react directly with the aircraft's flight control systems, with the autopilot, for example, so that when air traffic want you to do something, they'll type it in and they'll direct it to your aircraft. It'll come up, and you'll do is authorize the change. And
I can't see that happening in that kind of an environment right there, right off the ground.
I think it's going to get there eventually, Jeff. At the moment, it's
I'm not
too
going to be in
clumsy.
those airplanes.
No, you're not.
Nope, I'm going to be driving my motorhome, and good luck to the rest of you all out there.
Quite right, too. Does your
It'll give us something to talk about.
Throttle?
All the crashes that we'll be covering on the show. That's good. There'll be a lot of good material.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Tim Van Ram says, looks like a nice place to play golf and see departing flight in the video. Yeah. Yeah, there was a golf course in the aerial view. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we talked about that. Let's continue with some more feedback. And in this case, is it? Yeah. Yeah, Mike Deaver, who calls himself Gus, sent this in. Sorry, I guess we probably didn't need to say that. He was probably trying to be anonymous. So Gus sent this this cartoon in, and are you showing that right now? Okay. It says so it's a cabin, passenger cabin of an airliner, and two seats on the right-hand side, and this one passenger on the aisle is kind of looking with great concern and fear at his seatmate that he's sharing the row with, who is at the window seat. And of course, it is the Grim Reaper sitting there with his scythe. I was going to say Sith, and I'm thinking, no, that's not right. Scythe.
That could be a Sith Lord.
Yeah, there we go. And then the Grim Reaper says, "Relax, I'm here for the pilot."
Yeah.
Doom, bam.
Very good.
There we go.
Oh,
that's what I'm here for too.
There's our own Grim Reaper. Very Grim Reaper. Yeah. And he is the pilot.
Yeah.
He'd be going, I'm here for the passengers.
Well, I'm going to fight back is what's going to happen. That Grim Reaper heads up there, and I'm going to be, it's going to be a Scythe War, yes. Scythe Wars, their show title, possible. Okay. Let's continue on with some more feedback. And, looks like there's some more video feedback that we're going to have to do. Okay. Sorry, it's a little clunky, but every time I try to load these videos beforehand, folks, the StreamYard decides not to participate. And I'm only going to play a little bit of this one because it's a very long video. But here we go. Okay, this is from Sean, and now I got to go back to Evernote. It says 803 squirrels were intentionally released at an airport. And so here we go. I'm going to add this in, and we're going to take a look here at the beginning of this video showing an airport, departures and arrivals, and somebody with a pair of binoculars
this
walking
is
around.
Bratislava Airport, and it's the site of one of our latest rewilding projects. Well, okay. We've not gone crazy just
I'm going to turn the volume up. And there she's walking around the terminal. And then we're seeing an outside view of some airplanes landing, taking off. And then we see some critters on the run. These squirrels look different than squirrels that we see here in the U.S. Our squirrels have big bushy tails, but these squirrels look more like ferrets. or prairie dogs or something. Yeah, they don't have impressive tails at all. Anyway, so the video talks about this project where they're trying to rejuvenate the squirrel population in certain areas of Europe, and it turns out that the environment that I guess they're fearing extinction of these little guys and gals, and they found that the places that they're really starting to thrive or not going the extinction route are environments very similar to environments that we have around airports. Yeah, they do look like prairie dogs, don't they? Anyway, it's a European ground squirrel, according to the video here. Anyway, that's cute. Cute little guys. Not very big, only 300 grams. They're not as big as American squirrels, that's for sure. And anyway, so it's an interesting video. So we're going to have a link to that if you want to check it out. But oh, look, there's a North American squirrel right there. Going, hey, what were you talking about me? Squirrel?
Yeah.
Squirrel?
Well, at least they're not trying to reintroduce some kind of bird that'll fly up and get involved with the airplanes.
True.
At least these are ground squirrels. Liz thinks they'll dig huge tunnels under the runways and all the runways will collapse. Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah. Well,
that is a major concern, Liz. Thank you for bringing that point up. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
this
more worried they'll
next one,
dig holes in the tires, but there you go.
All right. So this feedback from Peter, the title of his feedback, Beavers, Planes, Beer. Hey, crew. I spotted this seasonal advertising from UK-based brewery Beavertown. A very weird, must have been written by someone under the influence, story of a flight through the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, I think the person that came up with this one may have been sampling a little bit too much of the beer this brewery brews. So I'm just going to play just a little bit of it, just to kind of give you a taste, just in case you want to check it out yourself. Beavertown.
Taste of the beer.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, I try to describe these videos.
Welcome aboard Beavertown Air Flight 1013 from Bermuda to World's End.
It does look like a condor flight.
Even as an adult, I'm still scared of planes. Flying's always made me afraid. Soaring through the air in a 7.
So, here it looks like a very attractive flight attendant. Oh,
yeah.
No, it's a skeleton.
She's been on a bit of a diet.
My book.
Oh, yes, she has been in quite a
Good
diet.
evening, sir. May I fix you a drink?
Oh, yes, just a glass of water.
Yeah, well, you're going to die.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of a very strange video. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can't say it's a mainstream beer. I don't know if I've drunk Beavertown, but there you go.
Well, I think you should. You
Well,
should
I
seek
might
it
have to
out.
try it. Oh, wait a minute. They do neck oil. Yes, I have tried it.
Oh.
Yeah.
What does
Not
neck oil
sure
have
if
to do
it's
with beer?
to my taste. Yeah, it's a bit sharp for my taste, but
Is it?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Peter. He's also known as Sir Peter of Kent. He said, it didn't make me thirsty or wanting to buy their beer, but expect Nick is aware of their brand. So you just mentioned that you are.
Yes, indeed.
All right. I'm sorry, Nick. Liz, you were saying something to me in the back channel? Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go. Let's get back to more seriousness here. This feedback from Alex D. Captain Jeff, Captain Nick, Dr. Steph, Camacho Man, and Captain Rick. And he says, does he even work there anymore? Yeah, on occasion he does. We're hoping to see a little bit more of him here in the future. We got him some new recording gear. Hey guys, first time, long time here. I'm a few episodes behind, was listening to 583 the other day, came across the news item in which you discussed the VA benefits and FAA medicals. Would love to provide my 2 cents here, as I am someone who is a veteran, receives benefits from the VA, and flies for the airlines. I know there are a lot of people out there who believe that you cannot hold a first-class medical while receiving VA benefits, or those who think that you shouldn't. And just to be clear, we're not in any of those camps. We, not the crew here. Continuing with Alex, while you're right that people tell you when leaving the service to claim everything, there should be some trepidation by pilots with what they claim. I've worked closely with my AME, who is a flight surgeon for the Army, as well as an aviation medical examiner, AME. He has guided me through the process to be able to receive both benefits. While it's true that you should be careful what you put on the form for your medical, the medical form isn't 100% clear when it comes to the VA disability aspect. The check mark is very unclear as to what it's for, and some military members don't know to check that box, while others do, and some just willfully and blatantly disregard it. My AME has had me check the box and disclose everything. The big things he had told me are disqualifiers for pilots on their first-class medicals are sleep apnea, depression, and PTSD. Anything other than that, he said, should be good to go. Now, while this is one doctor's practice, while this is one doctor's practice/opinion and one pilot's opinion, I do not see why you can't receive both as long as you admit it and you are above board and don't try to hide one from the other. My issues from the VA are all joint and bone related and not the big three, as he calls them, his AME. Let me know your thoughts on this feedback. Thanks for the wonderful show and keep up the amazing work. Also, if my email seems familiar, you may recognize it when I wrote in trying to coax Jeff to come on to the wonderful podcast by Aviator Tony called Squawk Ident. We would love to have Jeff back on or have Captain Nick on the podcast to tell his amazing journey through the aviation world. Respectfully, Alex D. Yeah, he is one of the co-hosts of the Squawk Ident podcast, along with Aviator Tony and a couple of others. And it was nice to meet Alex when I was on their show. So check it out. We'll put a link in the show notes to check out Squawk Ident if you don't already subscribe to it. And they want, obviously, Alex D has been drinking some of that Beavertown beer or doing shrooms or something. He wants Captain Nick to be on their show. Oh well.
He's just a sucker for punishment.
Yeah, he is. So he said, he'd like to know what
Liz
we
just
think
said
about
their standards are very low.
Oh, I know. I was gonna like gloss over that and not tell everybody how mean and hateful our producer is in the background.
Yeah.
Says these hateful things to us all the time. Anyway, what do we think about this? I agree with you, Alex. And it's very smart of you to have an AME that's also a Army flight surgeon, because they know both sides of the fence here and what's good, what's good to go and what's not. And I agree with you completely that it is confusing and it could be better explained as to, well, what is this, VA disability box, and what do I have to actually put down on this form, because it really is not clear at all. So I think for the most part, most people don't intentionally hide these things. I do think that there is a very, very tiny percentage of people that probably do, knowing that, revealing their disability, that they're receiving money from the VA may be something that, the FAA frowns upon. So, it might jeopardize their airline career. So, I think that, trying to make everything more clear, and I think that'll definitely help the entire situation. I don't know what else to say. What do you think, Captain Nick?
We've discussed this at length before, and I think basically comes down to the fact that the little money you will make by trying to cheat the system is not worth jeopardizing your entire career. And also, I think there are a number of people that are doing this perfectly within the rules, and they should be allowed to continue to do so. You just need to make sure that you're not one person that's on the wrong side of the fence. And if you are, then get it fixed soon, because your aviation career is just such a joy to us all. You don't want to ever jeopardize it.
What do you think, Camacho?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like he mentions, I think the root of this issue is the vagueness of both the VA side of things and the FAA side of things. And like I said last time we talked about it, I don't have any experience on the VA side of things, but there are definitely many challenges in the FAA medical system, and the current chief medical person or surgeon general of the FAA or whoever she is, Dr. Northrup seems to be aware of a lot of the issues and is working towards, or says all the right things about working towards getting it fixed or making it better. But it's at the end of the day, it's a very large bureaucratic process, and even if there's something wrong, a lot of times people look at it and their initial thought is like, well, if we change it, we might mess it up, and make it worse. And that's a little, I'm sure that's disheartening for some of the people that are struggling through the current process.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a positive thing that it seems that people are paying more attention to this, and they're trying to fix it so that people don't jeopardize their airline careers, and they still get what's due to them for serving their country.
Yeah. And I also, I haven't been, I wasn't on the second time you guys talked about it. I was on when we initially talked about it. I know we got some feedback, and I didn't get a chance to be on during that. But
yeah,
I also think it's important to keep in mind that just regarding his comment about people who think that you can't or shouldn't hold a medical while receiving VA benefits, those are really like two
separate things,
mutually exclusive things. The VA benefits are, it's completely dependent on what has happened to you. The FAA medical is to make sure you're safe to fly an airplane. It's not to make sure you're like the healthiest person on the face of the planet.
Right.
So
agreed.
That's
agreed.
a little
and CJ is the one that wrote in the, he was objecting a little bit to the way we covered it. And I think it was just a misunderstanding of where we were coming from there. Because we were basically, what he was saying was what we were saying as well.
Yeah.
So, anyway, well, thanks, Alex D, for giving us your perspective and your own anecdotal experience with all of that. That could possibly help some others out there. This one from Marcus. Hi, guys. Just wanted to write in about a good experience I had with a gentleman who provides revision courses and mock exams for the UK FRTOL exam. And I had to look this up and go, what's that? Flight Radio Telephony Operator's License. Did I say that right? Flight Radio Telephony Operator's License. Or I think that most people just refer to it as a radio license.
I was going to say, Jeff, isn't that a mobile phone? A radio telephony device?
Yeah, it is. Do we have to go through a course to use these
Apparently,
things?
Yeah.
Some people should.
Well, yeah, yeah. I think you should go and everyone should go and do this course immediately.
They should at least figure out how to mute the darn thing when it's ringing and when you're in a church or a concert or something. Come on.
Yeah,
how to turn the ringer off. Idiots.
Yeah.
Have you ever stopped mid-performance at church and just pointed at someone and been like,
I wanted to. Usually when it rings at church, though, Camacho, I usually lean over to one of my fellow singers and go, "That's God calling." All right. So let's see. Let's get back over here to Marcus's feedback. So he talked about this gentleman, Irv Lee. The UK FRTOL exam. He had asked us to pass on the word about his course to anyone we knew that was looking to sit their exam. Unfortunately, I didn't, so I thought it would be best to let you guys spread the word, as he has put in a lot of effort and provides a brilliant service. He will continue to answer any questions well after you've finished his course and really knows his stuff when it comes to radio communications within aviation. As I mentioned, he also provides mock exams, which are brilliant. Is that when you're taking the exam, he just mocks you and tries to...
If you enjoy it, then that's a worry.
I don't like being mocked, honestly.
No.
Okay, I did wonder if Captain Nick had heard of him or not, as he does seem quite involved with aviation in a few ways. You ever heard of the
Very few ways. No, because after all, I did my flight radio telephony operator's license about 40 or 50 years ago, and I don't think Mr. Lee was around then, but and I haven't heard of him. No. But he sounds like he's a very capable and interesting chap.
the fartle exam for all you fartlers out there. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. So let's see. Marcus continues. If I remember correctly, I believe he told us he came up with the idea of the listening squawk too. Thought that was a brilliant fact he has to tell everyone. I don't even know what that means. What's a listening
squawk? Neither do I.
Squawk?
What's the listening squawk?
Would that be something that you squawk when you're up there, like flying around VFR, to let people know that you are listening to frequency, but you're just not transmitting?
I'm waiting for Liz to Google it.
Yeah, okay, somebody's going to Google
too late,
it.
Liz. I'm going to do it now.
Okay. All right, so we'll play the 60 minutes. No, the Jeopardy, Final Jeopardy. Da, 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 da. I should have started higher.
Listening squawks.
Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. Stop, Liz. Stop. Let me do something so that people
I think Jeff was right.
Hear you. Oh, it was a lucky guess, maybe on my part.
Today in commercial air. Yeah, I'll let Liz.
Okay, hang on. Liz, no, you can do it from Unity. I just have to hit one button here. Okay, go.
Officially known as frequency monitoring codes, a listening out squawk enables air traffic controllers to alert a pilot to their close proximity to the boundaries of controlled airspace if their aircraft looks likely to infringe. Any aircraft fitted with a Mode AC or Mode S transponder can use these codes.
Well, there you go.
So there you go.
Thanks, Liz. Okay, I'm going to turn you
So
off
if I understand that correctly, you squawk, for example, if you're close to Birmingham, you squawk 0010 and listen out on 123.980, and that is the frequency they will shout to you on if you're getting too close.
Yeah, it sounds like a discount version of flight following almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit less...
a little less intrusive for the controllers.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Irvley. Well, interesting. Okay, yeah. Well, Irvley, I went to his website. We'll have his website information. Yeah, looks like he does a lot in, it's called Higher Plane, Higher PLANE, Aviation Training, and Limited. And he has video, DVD clips, UK flying and testing, pre-flight checklist, PPL masterclasses, license medical combos, frequently asked questions, consultancy, all that. So it looks like he is a very active flight examiner, and CAA flight examiner and instructor, and a FARTL radio license examiner.
Have we talked about the flight radio telephony operator's license on here before?
No, I don't recall it.
I think
no.
What is it? What does it cover, Nick?
It allows you to operate a radio in an airplane.
In an airplane. So if you're getting your pilot's license, you also need to have that license?
Yes. Well, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it comes as part of your license. I think it's a separate certificate.
Separate thing. It's a separate thing over here.
Yeah, but you don't need it over here to operate aircraft radios.
Well, the people that always check for my radio operator's license permit or whatever they call it here always ask me to pull it out of my wallet and show them every time I go to current training.
Okay.
Huh. So my understanding, I got a restricted radio telephone operator permit when I flew overseas, but I thought that was only required for overseas. And also that wasn't like a real test.
I know.
That was
I
like
got
pay
mine
the
when I had
government
a-
$70 and check the box that says you can speak English.
I think I only paid maybe 10 or 15, or actually my parents probably did, because I got mine when I was a teenager and I had a CB radio, because it's the same restricted radio telephone operators permit for CB radio use as well as, turns out, aviation. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's a requirement, at least for Part 121.
That could be.
Air carrier pilot.
Yeah, that could be. That
Yeah.
it's just not required. No, I'll have to look
I'm
into
surprised
that, 'cause I don't
none of
think-
our brain trust in the live audience isn't kind of pitching in with if that's what Camacho
Well, he
was
was
saying.
he was sure available for the humor.
I know.
Now he's notably absent when we need his brain.
I know, and we actually need real information that could benefit somebody.
Actually on Lee's website, he says the FRTOL is mandatory for private pilots with any UK issued flying license using the radio, with the exception of balloonists. Ha ha ha! They can of course swan
They have no
around and
control
not
over where
speak
they're
to
going anyway.
anybody. Yeah.
They just yell,
Microlight
so-
student pilots are often misled by being told that microlight pilots don't need a radio license, which is simply not true, as they will find out if ever involved in an incident or ramp check.
So
there you go.
Sporty says in the U.S., the FCC issues a restricted radio telephone operator permit for U.S. pilots, but only for international use. It is not required while flying in the United States. Most airlines require that applicants possess
there you
radio
go.
Telephone operators permit.
Interesting. I just assumed that was something you had to have even if you were a private pilot here in the U.S.
No.
But
Yeah.
wow, that's interesting. Mila, Lady Pilot Mila. They used to give out radio licenses in Dutch that restricted you to only fly in the Dutch-speaking region. I think some places, Germany and France, still do. Might be worth a Google. Thank you. Good to see you, Mila. I haven't seen you in a while. That's great. Hope you're doing well.
Do those licenses come in your breakfast cereal box or what?
They may as well, because I don't think it was a very complicated exam over here anyway. It sounds like just like everything over there, like the ATPL, what do you have, like 14 tests
Used to.
get
Yeah, I
your...
don't know what it is nowadays, but it used to be.
It's like, no, thank goodness we don't have that here. Because I don't think I'd be an airline pilot.
Okay.
Anyway, well, good stuff. So, Marcus, I hope that helped Irv. We'll put all of his information in the show notes if anybody out there may want some help with learning about the FRTOL exam. Oh, Tanya says, I'm a brain dead trust today. Yeah, our brain trust is brain dead. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, Tanya.
Sorry to hear that, Tanya. But we wouldn't expect you to know these things, Tanya. But the other people in there, they were pilots. Come on.
I will say, Hall Boxes stepped up to the plate after we called him out.
Oh, did he?
Basically said
Okay.
the same thing we did, right? ICAO. I don't know who ITU is, but ICAO is.
I don't know what the ITU is either.
International FAA. Yeah.
An International Transport Union? Could be.
Okay.
That sounds good, Liz. All right. Somebody look that up. Staff! All right. That's enough. Thank you, Marcus. Our good friend and fellow, well, not fellow, but a south. Yes, he's one of my neighbors just up the road in Alpharetta, Georgia. Ray. He sent this image in of an ATIS broadcast, digital ATIS broadcast from Johannesburg. Yeah, Nick will like this one. Let's see. So it has the arrival runway 3 right, departure runway 3 left, clearance delivery on 121.7, South African Rugby World Champions, TRL, flight level 090.
Transition
so it just
level.
kind of sticks.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Transition level. They just kind of stuck that right in the middle of their ATIS broadcast. I guess they're very proud
Very
and
good.
happy about this.
Yeah.
The rugby win.
Well, they did in fact play a great game. There's no doubt about it. I mean, New Zealand
Was it against England?
I think had the
Or New Zealand?
potential. Oh yeah, but I was thinking about the final. The final was against New
Okay.
Zealand, which I probably
okay. I don't follow rugby.
Yeah, but unfortunately, New Zealand made a big mistake when they got their captain red carded and sent off in the first half. So they played a man down for the rest of the game.
International Telecommunications Union, an arm of the United Nations.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, I mean, we're just a veritable encyclopedia of information that is not important at all. All right, thank you, Liz. Okay, let's move on. Oh, this is. Do we have to cover this? I mean, because the guy,
yeah,
Tim Van Ram. You ever heard of that guy?
No.
He's in our live audience, heckling usually. And he sent us this feedback, dear all y'all APG. Thank you. That's something I can understand, Tim. Found this audio of ATC talking to a GA flight to warn him of a flight of, actually it was I think it was actually a regional airline flight. To warn him of a flight of 6 F-35s that I assume was doing a flyover at a sporting event. I don't think so. I think it was they were just kind of flying over the area. They were just beating up the airspace up there. But based on what I heard on this that we're just about to play right now, so you can listen to it as well. It is very cute. So we'll clear that. Thank you, Liz. And I'm going to add this to the stage. And here we go. Again from Bass Aviation. Victor over there, Real Aviation Communications. And here we go. LiveATC.net.
Blue Streak 5509, flight heading 200.
Heading 200, Blue Streak 5509.
Blue Streak 5509, traffic 12 o'clock, opposite direction, 10 miles. A F-35 at 4,000 feet north-south.
All right, negative contact, Blue Streak 5509.
Table correction, Tabor 31, flight heading 030. Blue Streak 5509er, just heads up that traffic passing below you, flight of 6 F-35s, all at 4,000.
5509, traffic's in sight, too close for missile, switch to gun.
Hey, that might be the funniest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, man.
Very good.
It was
Tabor
funny,
31 flight, climb maintain,
but
flight
not
level
the funniest
230.
thing.
Blue Streak 5509, Norfolk 9 o'clock at 6 miles.
Airport in sight, 5509.
Blue Streak 5509, contact tower 120.8, have a good day.
Gone to tower, I guess a clear to visual, Blue Streak 5509.
I'm sorry about that. Clear visual, runway 5, tower 120.8. Appreciate you, man.
Roger.
There we go.
I want to know how come this commuter jet, boring airliner, has a call sign like Blue Streak, and the F-35s have Tabor. What the dickens
Blue Streak is the
that?
airline's call sign, and I don't think it's a very complimentary call sign, because anytime somebody tells me about a blue streak, I think about the leak in the on the side of the airplane, you know, the valve for the toilet, the lavatory service panel.
Yeah,
that's what I think of when I think of blue streak.
Okay, you're right.
Or brown streak. That's even worse, Liz. You always want to have the blue streak, not the brown streak. But you're right. That call sign for the F-35's Tabor. Ugh.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. But this is he was going into Norfolk, Virginia Beach Airport, and that's all around the big naval facility in Norfolk, Oceana, and several Navy facilities surrounding that area there. So I'm sure that was probably Marine F-35s, I'm thinking. Anyway, that was funny. The good response from the Blue Streak pilot. Too close for missiles. Anyway. Okay, we're going to wrap up the show today with some feedback from our friend, APG community member, World Traveler, who I believe I just had some communication with him this morning, was on a flight just landing in Dubai. And so he's retired from his nuclear energy plant and is out there doing some traveling. And I think we heard from him last week regarding his trip to Singapore. And remember the birds in the background or something that we were trying to figure out? Anyway, so he sent us in some more audio feedback via SpeakPipe. And so let's hear what Paul has to say.
Ahoy, Jeff and crew. This is Paul. Ahoy is a greeting that they use in Slovak, mostly for hello. I don't know how they get the ahoy, but I'll do a little research on it. Anyway, I was just listening to one of the podcasts about 3 podcasts ago, and I wanted to just show my appreciation for you all using phonetic alphabet. Makes you sound so much more professional. And to that, I would just like to say, Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo Foxtrot Golf Hotel India Juliet Kilo Lima Mike November Oscar Papa Quebec Romeo Sierra Tango Uniform Victor X-Ray Whiskey Yankee and Zulu. Yes, the X and the W were transpositioned, but I just wanted to read it nice and fast and appreciate all of you for using your phonetic alphabet. Paul, over and out. Ciao.
Ciao, baby. Yeah, I was going
want
to say, you know what?
I want something
I think
of
you were
whatever
reading
he's
that.
on.
Exactly. So now get back with us and do it without reading it, but actually just say Alpha Bravo Delta Charlie or Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo, whatever. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to mess it up. But you're welcome, because that's what we are here, Paul. Completely 100% professionals. I was waiting for Liz to throw up the 50%. I knew it. We're at 100%. Oh no, 50%.
That'll do.
And regarding, he talked about doing the research for Ahoy. And so I did the research for you, Paul, so don't worry about it. Enjoy your trip over there to Dubai. Ahoy is also Hoy, or Ahoy, 1751 from probably merely a preliminary sound plus Hoy, a nautical call used in hauling. The original form of the greeting seems to have been ho, the ship ahoy. Yeah, when I think of ahoy, I think of Captain Crunch, actually. It's a nautical term, a sailing term. Anyway, so it's just a form of hello, I guess, or some kind of a warning. Actually, it's an interesting part of this. This is from the etymology dictionary. And its rise to popularity as a greeting in the 1880s coincides with the spread of the telephone, where it won out as the word said in answering over Alexander Graham Bell's suggestion, ahoy. Central telephone exchange operators were known as hello girls. So instead, when we answer the phone, we usually say hello. Ahoy, girls. I guess, Alexander Graham Bell wanted to actually for us to say ahoy when we answered the phone. Oh. Hoy, hoy. Oh, okay. So the etymology dictionary is in error. I guess you're going to have to do something about that, Liz. Get them straightened out. Okay. Liz's etymology dictionary. Yeah. Get to work. Lots of words out there. All right. Well, thank you, Paul, for the audio feedback. Again, as I mentioned, that's one way to send us audio feedback is by heading over to our website, airlinepilotguy.com. And on the Contact Us page, there is a link to how you can leave an audio recording on SpeakPipe. And that's one way to do it. Or you can just take your telephone or whatever kind of electronic device that has a recording app on it, record something beautiful. You don't have a 90-second limitation on that. And then attach it to an email and send it to us by just scanning this QR code, or you can just send it feedback at airlinepilotguy.com, which is what happens when you scan the QR code. And yeah, website has other stuff as well. Information about the crew and the community. Has a community calendar, library, more information about the plane tales, and so much more. Please check it out, airlinepilotguide.com. And we're also on social media. You guys want to do a tag team on that one?
Oh, yeah, I'll start. And if you're a Facebook person, which is now called Meta, you just need to look for Airline Pilot Guy, or one word. Over to you, Nick.
Twitter or X is at APG Crew. And that collects all our information there.
And Instagram is very similar with APG Crew.
Now, you keep saying Meta. I know Meta is the parent company of Facebook, but I go to Facebook and all I see is Facebook. It doesn't say anything about Meta. So just wanted to point that out. Or it could be Bookface. That's even better, I think. Do I have somebody in my bathroom? Let me see. Let me check. Oh, yeah. There we go. I hear something going on there. Hello. Hello. Can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
All right. Tell us all about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and plain tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
All right. Thank you very much, Hillel, for your help with that. And let's see, anything going on in the near future for any of us here, or anything that we need to...
We're hoping for some more feedback, because Liz must be very upset.
Oh, well,
you've gone through it all.
Liz, come on, join us.
Thank you, Nick. I'm very scared now. The feedback cupboard is bare, so we'd love some feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we don't get it, that's okay. We'll just talk more news items and read the phone book and all that kind of stuff, and we'll have fun. Yeah. And you can just kind of hang around and listen to us.
We could just play that Brazilian podcast you were on for 3 hours there.
Well, good idea. That's an option, but I think we'd lose a lot of listeners if we did that.
Well, they'd all go to sleep, yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens when you listen to me. Just go on and on and on. Anyway,
and a good show, and great to have Nick C back for a while.
Yeah, good to have you back, Nick. We've missed you.
Glad to be back.
Indeed.
And we hope you have a good week and spend some good time with your family. Same goes for you, Captain Nick. And say hi to Jilly and the dogs. And let's see. I guess nothing else to say except that wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Bye, everybody.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay, well done. Yeah, look out.
Whoa. Watch out for that.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Did you turn your
Weren't
recorder
we supposed
off,
to
Jeff?
talk about, wasn't there something about something about turbulence going into St. Petersburg?
Well, there was. I kind of put that for next
did you
show.
take that out? Okay,
I
because I had it already in one of my windows to
I'm sorry,
show. And I'm looking at it going, what?
Did we use that?
Well, we added a couple of new ones, and then I sort of thought, well, anyway, I'll put it back in next week.
Okay. Well, whatever. Unless there's more.
That's a news item.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Just curious, because I have this thing where I can telestrate almost.
You're not going crazy. You're right.
Okay. Well, not only maybe partially crazy.
So possible show titles. Here are my efforts here. The bogey beam is that bogey beam is the pits.
That's a pretty good one.
Something to do with the pits. Nick gets soused. Pilot.
And then in parentheses, herring.
Yeah. Pilot-induced swerving.
Swerving.
PIS,
Yeah, I got that one.
And
Oh, you got to add another S to it, though.
Yeah.
Pilot-induced something
to think about
swerving
something.
or swerving.
And then the last one was Scythe Wars. Scythe Wars. Because we were having the two.
Scythe Wars might work.
Scythe Wars.
Sadly, it doesn't read as well as Star Wars, so it could work. If I did it in the right font.
Sickle Wars? Sickle Wars? I don't know. Sickles?
Scythe Wars. No, I think Scythe Wars is good.
Okay. Anybody else
I
in
thought
the
you were
chat
saying
room?
side, and I'm going, what?
Scythe.
Scythe Wars.
Okay.
Scythe.
Gotcha.
Side Wars would have been bad, Jeff. You
Why
should
is
have
there a
spoken up if you
C
thought
in
you said
side?
Wars?
I don't know what side word even means. Wars mean.
It's a
No,
side.
I can make that happen. Yeah.
Maybe
He
you can
does look
reuse some of
evil,
that.
doesn't
I
he?
know. And then this is when he's all dressed up. This is one of my favorite ones, the Fancy
Jeff. That's my skydiving outfit.
I know. Fancy Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. Just think what I could do with Mid-Journey now if I wanted to fancy Jeff up.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'd rather not think about it.
Very good. Okay, I can do something with that.
Good. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I'm glad this was good timing for lots of people. So glad you could join us.
Yeah. A little bit earlier in the day, especially for our European friends.
Exactly.
And further
Further
to the
afield,
east friends. Yeah.
Bye everybody.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.